The crushed right eye turned into dots, in the form of Ryotsu, circling between Chiba and the Empress. The next moment, the Empress's face changed slightly. Because, she discovered, her 5 senses seemed to have entered a strange state. Then, a picture reappeared in front of her. Under the shining of the bright moonlight, the Empress instantly recognized where it was. Holy place. The residence of the celestial dragons. At this moment, it is not waiting for the Empress to respond. Ulquiorra's indifferent voice sounded, "Sero." It was only for a moment that the Empress hadn't seen the appearance of the Holy Land clearly. The next moment, it was directly reduced to ashes. In less than 30 seconds, 4 shots of Sero completely wiped out the Phoenix family. At this moment, the Empress was silent. Terrible execution. If you say it will be completely wiped out, it will be completely wiped out, without the slightest sloppiness. With this kind of strength, there is really no need to look for one of them in the ant nest. Stepping on it directly is the most overbearing way. At this moment, the Empress felt extremely relieved, and even felt a little refreshed. This place that used to be her nightmare turned into ruins in an instant. However, even so, she still seriously underestimated Ulquiorra. At this time, the soaring slash struck instantly. The Empress murmured, "That's the slash of the great swordsman." But it was easily blocked by Ulquiorra with bare hands, which seemed to be no different from blocking the ghost spider's attack back then. However, the Empress knew that the gap between the swordsman and the great swordsman was big enough to make people despair. And this gap, under the palm of Ulquiorra, is that all living beings are equal. Strong enough to suffocate. But it was this great swordsman's sword that received a flat evaluation from Ulquiorra. Still an ant. Shocked, the Empress saw the whole process of Ulquiorra's capture of the Holy Land. That's the 5 elders. In this world, basically no one has seen them make a move. Now, he was overwhelmed by Ulquiorra, and even watched Ulquiorra leave, helpless. It is different from the Empress' shock. Chiba just looked at all this calmly. In his opinion, these shocking pictures are just as they should be. "I see. Have you seen one of 5 elders?" Hearing this, Ulquiorra spoke calmly. "Yes, Your Majesty. In my opinion, this level of strength is not enough to affect His Majesty." In response, Chiba rested his chin lazily with his hands. "What kind of strength is this? Under my Arankar posture, he can be suppressed. Under the blade, you can defeat it, completely liberated, can be killed instantly. This level can be regarded as a stronger ant's." "That's right, it's still an ant. If you use the second stage of returning to the blade, the opponent is not enough to see it." Ulquiorra watched Chiba calmly. Seemingly surprised by Chiba's question, he opened his mouth immediately. "If His Majesty is not satisfied, next time I will bring his head with my own hands." "It doesn't matter," Chiba spoke calmly. "It's up to you to decide for yourself." Hearing this, Ulquiorra's body slightly bowed, very elegant. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your understanding. Now, I have one more thing for you to do." Chiba spoke again. "The location of my next sleeping subordinate has appeared. It's up to you to wake up. The location is Dressrosa in New World." At the moment, considering the peculiarities of the New World, Chiba continued. "However, New World cannot locate the exact coordinates due to the magnetic field. You should go to Sabaody Archipelago first, where there should be a permanent pointer to Dressrosa. By the way, Sabaody Archipelago auction is popular. There may be devil fruit appearing. Please pay attention. There are special powers that Chiba needs in devil fruit. And only special energy can summon subordinates and strengthen them. Now there are 41 pieces of Chiba's special energy remaining, which is not enough no matter how you look at it, so naturally you have to consider finding devil fruit." At this time, the Empress suddenly remembered something. "That's right, husband. Pluton Rayleigh seems to be on the Sabaody Archipelago. If devil fruit appears on the island, he should be very clear about it. My husband, if you want devil fruit, you can go to him." Hearing this, Chiba nodded and smiled. "It's a good suggestion. Go, Ulquiorra. Speaking of which, Pluton is my wife's benefactor, so don't embarrass him when you see him. Gratefulness is also a part of heart." Hearing this, Ulquiorra nodded immediately. "I see, Your Majesty." Ulquiorra was about to leave when Chiba spoke suddenly. "Wait a minute, Ulquiorra. Your Majesty, do you have any other orders?" Ulquiorra looked back. This era is different from thousands of years ago. There are many strange devil fruit abilities. The Holy Land is destroyed tonight. Naval headquarters will also act. Today, I release the restrictions on you. Chiba looked at Ulquiorra calmly and spoke. "I allow you to use Wang Shu's flash on this land." Hearing this, Ulquiorra's pupils shrank suddenly. Wang Shu's flash is the strongest attack under his basic Arankar form. Chiba was not used by Ulquiorra thousands of years ago because it was too powerful. And thousands of years ago, few people could force Ulquiorra to use this trick. At this moment, Chiba has voluntarily removed this restriction. Explanation: Chiba judges that there are people in this world who will pose a threat to Ulquiorra. At the same time, Ulquiorra also learned another meaning of Chiba from it. Don't underestimate this era. Hearing this, Ulquiorra immediately bowed his body and spoke. I see, His Majesty Chiba, I will not make the same mistake again. A qualified emperor will never be headstrong. Facing the shortcomings displayed by his favorite subordinates, he will point out and guide them implicitly. Chiba does it all. Ulquiorra was gone, and Chiba had no need to worry about him. Chiba looked out the window, accompanied by the bright moonlight. There is a beautiful night. It's almost time. Hancock, the Empress responded. Go to bed. Then, accompany me to Enies lobby, tomorrow. Tonight is destined to be extraordinary. The entire naval headquarters was spent under bright lights. A large number of Marines are constantly dispatched, and even Admiral has come out of the headquarters, murderous. Marines' turmoil made the pirates in the entire Grand Line extremely trembling, and they didn't even dare to appear in the waters patrolled by Marine, for fear of touching their brows. Look at Marine's posture, anyone knows it. The headquarters is afraid that there is a big move. I don't know which pirate is able to receive this kind of treatment. At the same time, the destroyed Holy Land, even if it is far away, can feel the shocking impact and fire. Especially the Sabaody archipelago, which is the closest to the Holy Land. The soul shock from the impact of Sero even made ordinary people on the island tremble, thinking that the world is coming to an end. Terrible. In the end, what happened? What a terrible shock. I feel my soul is trembling. Someone knelt on the ground, crying and shouting. The impact seems to come from the Holy Land. Could it be Marie Joyce was attacked? Idiot. That is the Holy Land. Since the Fischertag incident, the protection of the Holy Land is not much worse than that of the headquarters. Now, who dares to attack the Holy Land? That's courting death. But the flames burning from the Holy Land dyed the sky red. The Sero storm is even shaking Red Line itself. Even the supernova pirates on the Sabaody archipelago are heartbroken. Holy Land, I'm afraid something big has really happened. The panic in their hearts made them realize that if they continued to stay in Sabaody archipelago, they might suffer bad luck. After all, here, it is too close to Marie Joyce, basically at the foot of Holy Land. Whenever something happens, they are the first to be implicated. Therefore, someone couldn't bear this fear, and dived into the bottom of the sea overnight, preparing to enter New World. There are also hard-headed pirates who are not afraid at all. I even think it would be better if the world was a little more chaotic. The events of the Holy Land and the dispatch of the naval headquarters even reached the ears of the New World Emperor. After all, Marine monitors New World, and in turn, New World also watches every move of naval headquarters. Tonight, the 4 emperors of New World all made moves. After all, in the face of the great fanfare of naval headquarters, no emperor would dare to underestimate this force. Nobody knew exactly what Marine was going to do. In the midst of fear and sincerity, this night passed safely. And before dawn the next day, under naval headquarters mandate, numerous newspaper offices and print shops received first-hand information. A reward order spread throughout the world in an instant under the transportation of news bird. And when everyone saw the reward order, they couldn't help but gasped. Heinous, 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 life or death. Ulquiorra cipher, bounty, 1.5 billion Baileys. As soon as Ulquiorra's reward order was issued, it immediately caused an uproar in the world. In an instant, it became the focus of attention of the whole world. The reward for the first time reached 1.5 billion, which was unheard of. This is almost the highest reward offered by the New World Emperor. What the hell did this Ulquiorra do? The first reward was as high as 1.5 billion. Also, last night, naval headquarters was dispatched overnight, and the New World Emperor did not receive such treatment. Could it be because of this Ulquiorra? I'm sure it's right, but I don't know what happened to him. The 3 admirals were dispatched at the same time. It's too embarrassing. If the 3 admirals can be dispatched for me, even if they are caught, life will be without regrets. As soon as this remark came out, the people around immediately scoffed. HMPH, it's up to you to dispatch the 3 admirals. Do you know what this murderous man did? Could it be that you know? Did you fall asleep last night? The sky above the Red Line is about to burn. That huge vibration almost made venerable Sabaody archipelago unconscious. Isn't it obvious enough? This guy probably hit the Holy Land last night, and the damage to the Holy Land may be extremely serious. Otherwise, it would be impossible for 3 admirals to be dispatched at the same time. Hearing this, the person next to him also sneered. Idiot. This is not the first time that the Holy Land has been breached. Last time, Fisher Tiger had a reward of 1.5 billion. Hey, no matter what he did, this guy is famous. Ulquiorra, never heard of it, is this guy the captain? It's the first time to offer a reward of 1.5 billion. I don't know if this record can be broken in my lifetime. Wait, did you notice? There seems to be a hole in this guy's chest. Is he really human? Everyone talked about it with gusto, and the world became more and more ebullient. At this moment, almost all the pirates have died down, and they are living in the sea with their tails between their legs. Everyone knows that if you touch marine now, you are courting death. And just when the whole world boiled over Ulquiorra, Chiba wakes up in the palace of the Empress of Nine Snakes. At this moment, he found that the Empress in transparent pajamas was hugging him. Sleeping posture is not generally bad. Then, as if aware of Chiba's awakening, the eyelashes of the sleeping Empress trembled slightly. Well, make a slight sound. The Empress slowly opened her eyes, and slowly lifted her upper body with movements that felt like she couldn't feel the weight at all. The Empress, who just woke up, looked a little childish, raised her pure white wrist and yawned a little. The slender suspenders slipped from her shoulders, and the Empress looked at Chiba. Husband. Chiba looked at the Empress with a smile on her face. It's almost time. Hancock, accompany me to retrieve my beloved sword. Enies Lobby is a court established by world government to try criminals. However, in fact, Enies Lobby is just a figurehead, but anyone who is sent to Enies Lobby will definitely be defined as a criminal. And these prisoners will be escorted to the huge gate of justice. In the end, as long as they pass through this gate, criminals will never see the light of day. After all, behind gate of justice, there are only two places. One is impelled down on the Combelt and the other is Naval Headquarters Marineford. Now, outside the main entrance of Enies Lobby, the black cavity was slowly opened. Chiba stepped out of it with one step. Next to her, the Empress appeared in a cheongsam, sexy and alluring, wrapping around Chiba's wrist. Seeing the slowly closing, black cavity, the Empress couldn't help but speak. Husband, do you also know how to move in this way? All the abilities of my subordinates come from me. Chiba smiled and spoke calmly. Whatever they can use, I can do. As he spoke, Chiba raised his head, looked at the main entrance of Enies Lobby, and couldn't help showing a smile. As this Enies Lobby, judgment. Here, it's a bit arrogant. Forget it. After getting back the love sword, let's sink it here. Come on, Hancock. Chiba and the Empress strolled here, very casually. In front of the three major institutions of the world government, there is no sense of tension. And when the two came to the main gate, there were two giants guarding them. When they saw Chiba and the Empress, they were taken aback. Who are you guys? This is the Enies Lobby. No entry allowed. After saying that, he felt like an idiot. How did these two people appear here? As for Chiba, he just looked at the two calmly, with a smile on his face. Even because of height, I don't like being condescending either. So, kneel down. Chiba's tone was very gentle, without any emotion in it. However, it was the moment when the three words, kneel down, were uttered. A shocking momentum erupted from Chiba's body in an instant, directly blasting and killing the two giants. The next moment, the pupils of the two giants shrank suddenly. This momentum actually directly overwhelmed the two of them. The consciousness of the two of them even became blurred at this moment. If they were not giants and their bodies were strong, they might have fallen to the ground in an instant. However, even if he could maintain consciousness, his legs softened, and he knelt down in front of Chiba for a lifetime. This scene, in the eyes of the Empress, was extremely shocking. You can't go wrong, conquerors. This is conqueror's hockey. Moreover, it is different from a half-baked guy like her. Chiba's conquerors, which appears to be manipulable. Even though she was standing next to Chiba, she felt the slightest sense of oppression. Instead, the two giants in front of her were instantly shocked. This undoubtedly refreshed the Empress's understanding of conquerors. Just when the Empress was shocked, the two giants were furious instantly. They could never have imagined that, as giants, they would be overwhelmed by humans so much smaller than themselves. The next moment, the pupils of the two giants shrank, and they took out their weapons one after another. Looking for death, dare to attack. Do you know where this is? This is Enies Lobby, where rules and laws are made. If you dare to step forward again, don't blame us for being rude. Hearing this, Chiba smiled, then shook his head. Ridiculous. The so-called rules are prepared for those who cannot survive without following the rules. That should have been my last mercy to these people. When will you be arrogant enough to talk about rules in front of me? While speaking, Chiba stepped forward. the faces of the two giants changed, and they attacked directly. In that case, let's die. However, before the attack fell, the Empress next to her was even faster. At this moment, she was like a flying butterfly. In an instant, she kicked out her foot, snorted coldly, and was furious. Where did the cat and the dog come from? Dare to face the concubine's husband. Perfume femur. Boom. This kick hit one of the giants in the abdomen. The combination of armed color and fruit ability makes the queen's kick have shocking power. Even the one who was 100 meters tall was instantly kicked away. At the same time, part of the abdomen was turned into stone, crushed by the Empress's kicking technique. Boom. As the giants fell to the ground, the entire front gate trembled. The giant was horrified, sweating profusely as he watched his shattered stomach. Those who can, he never dreamed that this peerless beauty who looked extremely weak in front of him would kick him to death with one kick. After being shocked, Chiba waved his hand suddenly and said, "Back off, Hancock." Although it shouldn't be required to have aesthetics in combat. But, sometimes, it can be more elegant. Armament hockey, that's not how it's used. As he said that, Chiba stepped out, calmly walking towards another giant family. All his aura is restrained in his body, and he can't feel the slightest sense of oppression. From afar, he looks like an ordinary person. However, this unfathomable obsession makes one's scalp tingle. Mere entanglement is nothing but a waste of hockey. Armed color, there is a more elegant way to use it. With that said, Chiba walked out calmly. The remaining man's eyes widened, and in an instant he held a huge axe and slashed towards Chiba. Seeing this, Chiba just calmly raised his right hand and pointed out. The Empress can feel that there is armament hockey on Chiba's fingertips. Then, bang. With one finger, he blocked the giant's full-strength slash. No matter how hard the giants tried, they couldn't advance half a point. And Chiba's fingers didn't even bend. Armed color is the strongest defense and the strongest attack. The defense is within oneself, the attack is within the people. To disintegrate the enemy. The moment after saying this sentence, the giant axe in the hands of the giants collapsed instantly, disintegrating from the inside. Not only that, his hands exploded in an instant, and his internal organs were damaged, as if a powerful force exploded in his body. At this moment, the Empress stared at all this with her beautiful eyes wide open. So strong, too strong. My husband's battle is both aesthetic and extremely elegant. Simply watching is simply enjoying. Enies' lobby's main entrance was breached. Chiba and the Empress walked calmly, as if they were walking in their own backyard. As soon as we entered, the densely packed Marines swarmed in. Enies' lobby is connected to the World Government Center, so the number of troops on the island is extremely large. Even if the Marine is resident, the number is more than 10,000. At this moment, Marines swarmed over, with a complete glance, and there was no end in sight. Seeing this scene, Chiba smiled. Hancock. You know, compared to armed colors, conquerors is used in a more elegant way. As my wife, I hope you can remember this. True conquerors, never meant to intimidate. The aura of a superior is nothing but the most superficial strength of conquerors. I only do it once, as my woman, you need to have such a size. Saying so, Chiba calmly took a step forward, but at this step, the Empress's heart trembled suddenly. At this moment, black and red lightning seemed to flicker on Chiba's body. The clouds in the sky dispersed instantly, Empress shocked. At this time, it seemed that even the sky was making way for her husband. At this moment, she knew that this was the real king. With the fall of the two guards, the main gate of Enies' lobby was breached. Alarms go off, Enies' lobby has been hacked. At this moment, everyone reacted immediately, and for a while, their faces were filled with disbelief. This is Enies' lobby, who dares to invade here? And that's especially true of the chief Spandam in the Enies' lobby. What, sirens? What's going on? Guards, where are the guards? Spandam roared, and a sailor hurried into it. What's the matter with the siren? The two giants guarding the gate have been defeated, and someone has invaded here. The sea soldier hurriedly opened his mouth in a panic. Spandam's pupils widened suddenly. Invasion? Enies' lobby? You've got water in your head. Accompanied by anger, he kicked the sailor directly to the ground. Get lousy to kill that intruder, you idiots. Yes, yes. Responding, the sailor hurried away. After he went out, Spandam panted heavily. Hoo-hoo. It's really useless, those two giant wastes can't even see a door. Seeing that Spandam seemed to be very tired, a voice suddenly sounded. Sir, don't get angry. Your Tao value is only 9, you will hurt your body if you get angry. What did you say, Fukuru? Spandam snorted coldly. Hee hee, the old man is interested in this intruder. The long-nosed Kaku sat on the seat, crossing his legs leisurely. Hey, how many years have there been no intruders? Really bold, but this place has never been breached. Jabra picked up an apple with a sly look, bit off it in one bite, and ate it in big mouthfuls. It's terrible, there are intruders, this is the end, if you see my mother in that world. Please allow me to cut seppuku. Iron body. Ah, what a pity, I still can't die. Self-directed and self-acted cuddling and dancing. These are all CP9 members of Enies lobby. It is now 10 years before the start of the plot, and they have not yet accepted the spy mission and sneaked into the water capital. I don't know who the intruder is, however, I don't think there is a chance to find out. I am afraid that the other party will not even be able to pass through the court, let alone reach this tower of justice. The seemingly simple and honest Blue No has a heavy voice. But at this time, click, the door suddenly opened. Chiba led the Empress and walked in through the door calmly. In an instant, all eyes turned to the door in unison. Except for Spandam, who was stunned, CP9's pupils shrank, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Chiba smiled and spoke calmly and politely. Excuse me. Huh. Who are you? Who allowed you to come in? Get lousy out. Hearing this, Chiba didn't move, but took 2 steps after entering the door. Spandam was about to get angry, but was attracted by the appearance of the Empress next to Chiba. At this moment, he felt that his soul seemed to be taken away by the Empress. Beautiful. Spandam wiped his saliva and was about to speak, but was stopped by Blue No. You are the invaders? Also, is this supposed to be the pirate Empress Boa Hancock? I heard that the Pirate Queen was listed as one of 7 warlords of the sea, by the headquarters, but now you appear here. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, you are courting death. Blue No's words made the Empress snort coldly. When will it be your turn to take care of the concubine's affairs? And, what, 7 warlords of the sea? There will always be only one king who is a concubine. Said. The Empress gently nestled in Chiba's arms. Everyone was shocked. I heard that the Empress is extremely proud and hates men. But, who is this person, who actually subdued, the most beautiful woman in the world? Who are you, and why do you, Enies lobby? Hearing this, Chiba suddenly smiled. Invasion? Sorry, you seem to be mistaken. In this world, every inch of land that the sun can shine on is just my back garden. Walking in your own back garden, can this be called an invasion? Hearing this, Spandam finally realized the Empress's beauty and looked at Chiba dumbfounded. What? You guys are invaders. Sailors. Where are the sailors? This group of trash. At this time, Spandam's phone bug rang, and he quickly picked it up. A weak voice came from the other side of the phone bug. Sir, please be careful of intrusion. Before the words were finished, the phone bug was disconnected. Spandam's expression changed suddenly, and he hurried to the window, looking around, his pupils shrank. The entire Enies lobby, all the sailors fell down. Varied. Spandam backed away in fright, his face was pale, and he looked back at Chiba, as if looking at a demon. This is impossible. How long had it been since he got the call about the intrusion? I'm afraid it didn't even last a minute, and the other party just broke into here while talking and laughing with CP9? Also kill all the sailors on the Enies lobby? Whichever way you think about it, it's crazy. You, who are you? Hearing this, Chiba smiled and was not angry, just spoke calmly. Let me tell you, but every inch of land that the sun can reach is my back garden. I am the king of this world. After finishing speaking, Spandam was stunned for a moment, looked at Chiba, and couldn't help laughing out loud. Immediately afterwards, there was a belly laugh. You. What did you say? The king of the world? Are you trying to laugh me to death? Ha 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 ha. Spandam's laughter echoed throughout the room. The first laughter was extremely loud and arrogant. However, soon, the laughter gradually became smaller and finally disappeared. Enough joking, it doesn't seem to be such a simple reason. However, there was a chill coming from behind, as if Shinigami was stroking his back. But the source of this chill did not even say a word. At this moment, even CP9 couldn't help but sweat, and Blue No quickly protected Spandam behind his back. Sir, step back quickly. This man is quite dangerous. Not only Blue No, but also other CP9s are like the enemy. However, Chiba obviously didn't do anything, and didn't even exude any powerful aura. Looking directly at it, he had no intention of interacting with ordinary people. And it is precisely because of this that it is even more terrifying. Seeing this, Chiba smiled, extremely happy. Even after more than 900 years, this world still makes me happy. Dangerous? Really interesting statement. Do you think that as long as you hide behind you, there will be no danger? As he spoke, Chiba calmly raised his right hand and extended his index finger. I'm not serious all the time. If that's the case, let's play with you. You seem to call this finger pistol. The moment after saying this sentence, the pupils of all CP9 shrank suddenly. The figure of Chiba in front of him seemed to flicker for a moment. But when the CP9 people reacted, they suddenly discovered that the right hand that Chiba had raised before had been put down at some point. At the same time, blood dripped down from the index finger of his right hand. Seeing this scene, the faces of all CP9s changed drastically at the same time. What? No one knows what Chiba did. Then, Spandam fell. His face was painful, he kept struggling and screaming, and 3 blood holes appeared on his chest at some point. The face of Rob Lucci next to him changed drastically. What a terrifying speed. He moved in front of the officer in an instant, used 3 finger pistol shots, and then went back in an instant. From our point of view, he didn't seem to move at all. Saying this once, the rest of CP9 looked at Lu Chi in shock. Did you see it? Lu Chi shook his head. No, I didn't see clearly either. At that moment, I only knew that he moved, and I could only guess what the other party did. And others don't even know Chiba moved. At this moment, Chiba calmly raised his right hand, and the Empress next to him immediately took out a towel, wiped the blood off Chiba's index finger, and threw it on the ground. Stained your husband's fingers, it's really filthy blood. The Empress looked disgusted. But at this time, Spandam realized that he had a hideous expression on his face, and he was spitting out blood. The 3 blood holes on his body almost made him lose consciousness. You idiots, you actually just watched me being attacked. Quick, protect me and kill him. Hearing this, Blue No rushed over directly, but just arrived in front of Chiba. Boom. His abdomen sank in an instant, and even the clothes on his back were broken through. In the air, an invisible impact erupted, and he fell directly to the ground. No one could see how the punch was thrown. Sure enough, it's so fast that you can't even see the punch. Kaku and Jabra quickly made a defensive posture. Lu Chi looked serious and couldn't help but speak. Fukuru, go test it, how much power he has. Hearing this, Fukuru swelled up, like a ball, and rushed towards Chiba. Seeing this, Chiba stretched out his right hand, aimed at Fukuru, and popped out with 1 finger. Boom. The impact visible to the naked eye exploded directly. Fukuru was knocked into the air in an instant, was immediately discouraged, and slammed into the wall fiercely. Wow. At this moment, he had a splitting headache and kept wailing, feeling that his skull was shattered. With a fearful expression, he spoke weakly. Dao power. At least 50,000 or more. What? The remaining CP9 thought they heard it wrong. 50,000 power points. What a joke. The opponent just flicked his fingers, can he have such strength? If the power value exceeds 500, it is a Superman. If it exceeds 10,000, it doesn't even appear in CP9, let alone 50,000. This guy Fukuru didn't make a mistake, did he? Jabra looked serious. At this moment, Nugget leaned on the scepter, expressing his puzzlement, came to Fukuru and helped him up. After a little inspection, it was found that Fukuru's skull was broken and he was dead, and his face was even more ugly. Fukuru is dead, even his body can't bear the force value. More than 50,000 is probably true. Kaku looked dignified, and slowly moved his hands back, wanting to pull out the knife at any time. Jabra's face was serious, his body began to change, and in the next second, he turned into a werewolf. Do it. Jabra and Kaku shot instantly. Jabra turned into a werewolf and grabbed Chiba's neck, trying to cut his throat. And Kaku in the rear pulled out his knife and slashed at him. Seeing this, Chiba watched all this calmly and smiled. It's good to be young, full of vitality and passion. HMPH, stop talking nonsense. Let me test your strength. Jabra stepped on it, disappeared instantly, and applied, shaved, to ultimate. However, before he could make a move, there was a sudden sharp pain in his chest, his face changed, and he looked down, and found a fist mark. Wow. A mouthful of blood was spit out instantly. This punch shattered all his internal organs. He couldn't even use the iron body in time, no, even the iron body couldn't block the punch. Seeing this, Kaku's expression changed, and he slashed out instantly. Jabra. Seeing this, Chiba held out his index finger. Clang. Blocking the knife calmly, no matter how hard Kaku tried, he couldn't advance half a point at all. At this moment, even Kaku has a look of fear on his face. Then, Chiba's index finger was slightly bent, and he pinched the blade, between Setsuna. Blood burst from Kaku's body. Kaku, Jabra. He cuddled and yelled, showing fear on his face. He didn't even know what happened, Jabra and Kaku were instantly killed by each other. However, he just felt a whirlwind whistling past, then lost consciousness and fell to the ground. The gap is too big. There, only Khalifa and Lu Qi were left. Khalifa's face was dull, and he quickly backed away, fearing that he would be killed instantly, so he couldn't help but speak. You. What are you going to do? It's nothing, I'm just here to pick up something, and I'll be leaving soon. However, Enies lobby holds the name of judgment, which makes me very uncomfortable, so I plan to sink it. As soon as the words came out, Khalifa fell silent. Sink Enies lobby. If someone else said such a thing, I'm afraid they would die of laughter. However, the Chiba in front of me is different. The level is too high. Moreover, the other party is afraid that they can really do it. And at this time, the pigeon on Lu Qi's shoulder spat out human words. Don't underestimate our CP9. The next moment, Lu Qi's body bulged and turned into a humanoid beast. Let me try you. Lu Qi rushed over in an instant, with speed and strength unmatched by other CP9s. Seeing this, Chiba smiled. Being confident in yourself is a good thing. Then, a punch fell. Chiba doesn't dodge or dodge, he doesn't move like a mountain. Boom. A huge impact rippled, and Lu Qi's punch directly landed on Chiba's abdomen, and white smoke even rose from the place of the fist. However, Chiba remained motionless. Lu Qi was stunned. No reason, impossible. If you calculate it with Dao power, it's only in the early 6000s, which is very mediocre. Hearing this, the corner of Khalifa's mouth twitched. What is the concept of 6000 power value? Chiba actually said mediocrity. In the next moment, the air passed by in an instant. Boom. Lu Qi's abdomen was sunken, which was the mark of a fist. His expression changed immediately, and he knelt directly on the ground. The broken internal organs made him vomit blood. CP9, Khalifa is the only one left. Seeing this, Khalifa was extremely nervous. Looking at Chiba, he felt his heart was about to jump out. Wait, don't kill me. You said that you are the king of the world. I am willing to surrender and become your woman. As he spoke, Khalifa suddenly showed a charming expression, and even tore off his coat, revealing half of his chest. In this regard, Chiba just watched all this calmly. Khalifa was startled and couldn't help biting his lip. No, the opponent's level is too high, it is simply unfathomable. Seemingly realizing that her behavior was exposed, she shot in an instant, kicking Chiba's neck with her slender right leg. Tempest kick. But, boom. This kick was blocked by a leg that was even longer than hers. The Empress stared at Khalifa coldly, furious. Woman, what do you want to do to your concubine's husband? Seeing this scene, Chiba smiled. Hancock, take care of this. After speaking, Chiba jumped and disappeared, reaching the top of the Tower of Justice. Here, sleeping his sword, Chiba calmly raised his right hand. Wake up from the millennium sleep. The special energy instantly decreased by another 10. Setsuna room. Flame, born from the void, seems to be able to burn everything. And in the flames, there is a Teidao standing in the void. At this moment, it seemed that it sensed Chiba's arrival, and Teidao resonated for a while, as if cheering. Seeing this, Chiba smiled, then grabbed the handle of the knife and pulled it out slowly. In the next moment, all the flames were instantly concentrated at one point and submerged into the sword. All visions, all disappeared. Husband, is this your knife? At this time, the Empress also came to the top of the Tower of Justice, looking at the sword curiously. Just looking at the appearance, it seems to be no different from ordinary Teidao. However, if you observe carefully, there is a sense of oppression that shakes the soul. And this sense of oppression is almost the same as what he felt from Ulquiorra back then. However, there are fundamental differences. If Ulquiorra is the weight of nothingness, then, what the Empress felt from this knife was as hot as the sun. This kind of heat seems to be able to evaporate the soul. I feel like my soul is shaking. To this, Chiba smiled. That's natural, this knife can cut souls. It is the strongest knife in this world for thousands of years. Ryujin Jakka species. Zanpakuto ability. 1. Shikai. Everything is ashes, Ryujin Jakka. 2. Not open, that's natural, this knife can cut souls. It is the strongest knife in this world for thousands of years. The Empress may not have any idea about cutting the soul, but she is very clear about the gold content of this sentence, the strongest sword in the millennium. At this moment, the Empress stretched out her right hand subconsciously, and gently slashed across the blade of the Teidao. For a moment, the Queen's pupils shrank. Her heart was shocked. In her eyes, she seemed to see a sun, which was extremely hot, as if it ruled over the whole world. The Empress was taken aback, and quickly withdrew her hand, extremely shocked. Husband. This knife, is it conscious? Hearing this, Chiba smiled. Certainly. This kid's name is Ryujin Jakka. He has a bad temper. He has been sleeping for 1,000 years, so he is a little angry to wake up. As he spoke, Chiba held Ryujin Jakka in his hand and waved it lightly. During Setsuna, a corner of the Tower of Justice was instantly cut off, and the cut-off part was directly burned and evaporated under a strange force. The Empress was startled. What a terrible power. She didn't even find out how Chiba did it, she just felt a wave of heat hit, extremely hot. At this moment, Chiba put the knife back into the sheath, and everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. Hancock. Chiba spoke suddenly. What's the matter, sir? You saw armed color, you knew about conquerors, and now, it's knowledge color. With that said, Chiba came to the back of the Empress, gently put his hands on her shoulders, put his head next to the Empress' ear, and spoke softly. As the king's woman, you will sit by my side and watch the world. I don't want my wife to be just a vase. Arm yourself with armed colors, show your strength with conquerors, and listen to the world with knowledgeable colors. As my wife, do you have the confidence to do it? Chiba's voice is very gentle. Next to the ear, you can even feel the temperature of Chiba, which makes the Empress blush, her heart beat faster, and her legs are clamped. Seeing this, Chiba lightly stroked the Empress's slender waist and spoke calmly. Hancock. Focus. Don't be controlled by too much desire. Controlling oneself is also a kind of ability. Hearing this, the Empress immediately took a deep breath, suppressing the lust in her heart. She didn't want to disappoint her husband, so she calmed down immediately. Seeing this, Chiba was very satisfied, nodded, and then spoke. The most important thing about observation hockey is to listen. Not with ears, but with heart. The color of knowledge has two main functions, one is perception, and the other is prediction. Perception can make everything invisible, even mind reading. Prediction avoids all dangers and even sees the future. As he spoke, Chiba calmly raised his right hand and pointed his index finger in one direction. There is a huge gate of justice, focus on there. Then, tell me what you heard. Hearing this, the Empress immediately spread out her observation hockey. Follow Chiba's guidance, focus on one point, and continue to expand. Then, she saw it. It was a ship, to be precise, a warship. That's a warship. Chiba nodded. That's right, listen carefully, on the warship. What's there? The Empress once again spread her knowledge and knowledge, constantly listening and refining. Eventually, she even saw sailors on top of warships. One of the strongest voices attracted her. She put the color of knowledge on him. Then, frozen instantly. The Empress opened her beautiful eyes immediately, and a drop of fragrant sweat could not help but flow from her forehead. She felt as if she heard a beast. Hancock, see? The Queen nodded immediately. See, that's Admiral of Headquarters, Aokiji. Hearing this, Chiba smiled, very satisfied. Nice job, Hancock. This is a reward. As he spoke, he smelt towards the Empress's lips. At this moment, outside the Gate of Justice, a warship is slowly approaching under the flow of the Uzumaki current. On the deck, there is a deck chair. A person is lying on it, wearing a blindfold, enjoying the sun. But at this moment, a feeling of being watched by something emerged spontaneously, and he couldn't help but take off the blindfold. However, this feeling is fleeting. This feeling. Beside, a sea soldier rushed over immediately and saluted. Aokiji Admiral, we are about to arrive at Gate of Justice. Hearing this, Aokiji nodded. Is there anything different? No, Justice's Gate and Enies lobby are as usual. Is it? Aokiji murmured, then waved his hand. Go down, and call me again when you get to Gate of Justice. Yes. The sailor left, and Aokiji lay down again with a strange look on his face. Strange, is it an illusion? The peace of Justice's Gate and Enies lobby was also expected by Aokiji. After all, Ulquiorra wouldn't be here anyway. Impel down is also very unlikely, but Sabaody archipelago is the most likely. At this moment, the Empress felt her body go limp. If love is a disease, the Empress felt that she was dying of illness. Husband. Why is Marine Admiral here? Hearing this, Chiba laughed. The high probability is to pursue Ulquiorra. It's almost done. If you sink here, let's go. Hearing this, the Empress paused for a moment, feeling puzzled. Why not repel this tail for Ulquiorra? Before the Empress could speak, Chiba said immediately. It's not necessary. Hearing this, the Empress looked surprised, and immediately reacted. Mind reading. Chiba caressed the Empress' cheek with love on her face. Yes, this is the color of knowledge and knowledge. I am very pleased that you have made rapid progress. As for Marine Admiral, don't bother. Thousands of years ago, I left a prophecy that after I regained my strength, I would take back the world in 9 days. I am the king of the world, so naturally I have to be as good as you can. Of course, if the other party wants to die, it's a different matter. However, it can deter the opponent. Saying this, Chiba slowly pulled out the Zanpakuto. In Setsuna, the air is as hot as the sun. In Setsuna, a scorching wind blew in the air. Chiba caressed his sword. At this moment, in the perception of the Empress, a terrible scorching storm gushed out from the sword. At this moment, she seemed to see a round of the sun, shocking her soul. Hancock, you step back first. This time, I'm going to exercise a little bit, maybe a little rough. Hearing this, the Empress nodded, and hurriedly backed away, keeping a distance from Chiba. Then, the corner of Chiba's mouth moved slightly, and he spoke calmly. Everything is ashes, Ryujin Jakka. This moment. The incredible high temperature instantly baked the entire Enies lobby. The high temperature released by Ryujin Jakka Shikai in an instant is comparable to the sun. In the blink of an eye, the moisture in the air was dried, the earth withered, and the trees turned to ashes. The gravel around Chiba melted directly under the high temperature and turned into fluid magma. A heat wave is coming. When the Empress saw this scene, her complexion changed immediately, and she subconsciously used armament hockey to cover her whole body. The heat wave rushed past, and the Empress felt extremely hot all over her body, and even smoke came out of her throat. But soon, she found out. Under the action of a strange force, this heat wave avoided her. Before she could be surprised, she found out. At this moment, the entire Enies lobby, under the sweeping of this terrible heat wave, began to burn. The sea around the island is being evaporated at an extremely fast speed. The evaporated seawater formed a large amount of water vapor, covering the entire sky. Because it was too hot, the Empress looked at the space with a distorted posture. What a terrible flame! The Empress was startled. The gentleness shown at this moment alone is probably more terrifying than Akainu's magma. At this moment, the Empress knew that no one could get close to her husband. Whether armament hockey can withstand the high temperature is still unknown. However, she knew that if ordinary life forms were not armed, they would be vaporized in an instant just by approaching them. At this time, Chiba spoke calmly. Hancock. Husband, look carefully at this knife. Chiba calmly raised the Ryujin Jakka in his hand and held it above his head. This knife contains the strongest hockey in the world. At this moment, for the first time, the Empress felt a terrible sense of oppression on Chiba's body. This overbearing, unparalleled in the world. Then, the pure white blade was instantly dyed black. It was armed color, hockey, and at the same time, under the forging of this flame. At this moment, Ryujin Jakka showed an obsidian-like luster under the sun's move, which was extremely dazzling. Not only that. On the blade, there seemed to be black and red lightning flashing at this moment, shocking people's hearts. Seeing this scene, the Empress couldn't help opening her mouth. That's a wraparound armor color and conquerors. Immediately afterwards, Chiba's observation hockey swept across the sea, as if it was under his perception. Then, behind the huge gate of justice, the slowly approaching warship was locked. No, to be precise, it was lying on the deck of a warship, enjoying a leisurely sunbathe. Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji was locked. At this moment, Chiba's observation hockey seemed to break through the physical distance and directly saw Aokiji himself. At this time, Aokiji was still lying on the deck chair without knowing it. Then, in an instant, he felt his hair stand on his head, and he woke up with a start. The kind of sensitivity that seemed to be that of a deer to a lion made his heart tremble. What does it feel like? At this moment, Marine sees Aokiji wake up and comes right away. Aokiji Admiral, do you have any orders? No. No, by the way, is there anything unusual? Abnormal. The sailor froze for a moment, thought for a while, and then spoke. If you have to say it, there is indeed something strange. What strange place? It's just that the humidity of the air has dropped a bit, and the air pressure behind, Gate of Justice, is surprisingly low. I'm afraid a huge storm is about to happen. Hearing this, Aokiji frowned. Humidity, barometric pressure? He stretched out his right hand calmly, and a chill was released from his hand. Kacha kacha, in the air, ice cubes condensed. However, the condensation of the ice cube did not exceed a second, and it instantly collapsed. Seeing this, Aokiji's face changed slightly. I can't, it's frozen. After a little perception, Aokiji's heart sank even more. He found that the moisture in the air was disappearing at a terrifying speed. He immediately stood up from the reclining chair, walked to the bow, looked around, and narrowed his eyes slightly. The scenery in the distance, under the visual difference, presents a distorted posture. And above the sea, white smoke rose slowly. Aokiji sensed it a little, and found that the temperature of the smoke was terribly high. And under that white smoke, the sea on the surface actually boiled. How is this possible? Aokiji finally realized something was wrong. Behind, Gate of Justice, something big happened. Even the moisture in the sea air is almost evaporated. The Enies lobby, at this moment, is no different from a stove. All attention. Aokiji snorted coldly and ordered instantly. However, before he could react, a chill came over him. Aokiji suddenly felt his scalp go numb. At this moment, Chiba, standing on the top of the Tower of Justice, seemed to see Aokiji's panic and grinned. Nice expression. Knowing the potential danger is already out of the category of ants. It's a pity, you can't handle this knife, it's good to feel it. This knife will be unparalleled in the world. Chiba's mouth moved slightly. At this moment, shocking flames spewed out from Ryujin Jakka in an instant, and the entire sky burned. Then it disappeared in an instant, converging on the tip of the knife. One blow, cut and chop, moment. A slash, soaring into the sky. The entire Enies lobby was directly cut open and engulfed in flames. The sea in front of him was instantly evaporated, and the sky was filled with scalding water vapor. Then, the power of the slash remained undiminished, and it flew straight towards the Gate of Justice. The cut sky seems to carry black and red lightning. The entire sky was divided into two, and the thick clouds kept rolling. Seeing this horrifying scene, Aokiji was completely stunned. Not only him, but at this moment, all the sailors on the warship watched the shocking scene with wide eyes. This is. What happened? My God, even the sky is cracked. Why do I seem to see black and red lightning? Is this the end of the world? All the sailors were shocked by the scene in front of them. The heart is extremely frightened, they don't know what it is. However, Aokiji knows it all. Quick, everyone, turn the bow. No, it's too late. As soon as the words fell, the black and red lightning instantly spread across the sky and swept across. The entire sea trembled, forming huge ripples. And at the moment of sweeping across the warship, there was a click. The deck and mast of the warship shattered instantly. Countless sailors didn't know what happened, they were directly shocked, foamed at the mouth instantly, and fainted. The huge warship swayed constantly under the tumult of the sea, like a flat boat, insignificant beyond words. Aokiji's complexion was hard to see. Ultimate conquerors, and no ordinary conquerors. The opponent surrounds the conquerors into the attack. This is the top attack method. Aokiji's expression changed drastically. He knew that there was a big man behind the Gate of Justice. Conquerors surround, which is exclusive to kings. A move that only kings who are truly at the top can use. The Emperor of New World, everyone can do this. And this is exactly the difference between the Emperor of New World and the Admiral of Headquarters. The Admiral of Headquarters are all the top experts in this sea who have undergone strict and formal training in the headquarters, continuous training and killing training. And the Emperor of New World is in the midst of burning, killing and looting all day long. Under this training gap, Admiral and the four emperors could hardly tell the winner in terms of strength. This conquerors is the reason. Even under this conquerors attack method, at certain times, four emperors would overwhelm Admiral. The horror of this attack can be seen in Amadara. And at this moment, behind the Gate of Justice, there is an existence at the same level as the New World Emperor. However, it didn't take long for Aokiji to realize that he was wrong, and he was wrong too much. Conquerors comes with a sweep. The entire sky burned instantly, like hell. Immediately afterwards, a shocking slash came in an instant. Enies lobby it is cut instantly, and the cut part is directly evaporated under high temperature. After that, the power of the slash remained undiminished, split the sea into two, and flew towards the huge Gate of Justice. Then, just as Aokiji was stunned, he cut open the Gate of Justice. That was too big to see the sides like bread. Where the cut is made, the metal is instantly melted or even evaporated. At this moment, what was reflected in Aokiji's pupils was trembling. He found himself locked. That slash was flying towards him. Thinking of this, Aokiji jumped up, raised his hands, let out a cold air, and snorted coldly. Ice Age. Setsuna Room. Infinite cold air rose into the sky, and with Aokiji as the center, the entire sea was frozen. At the same time, a huge block of ice flew out of Aokiji's right hand, facing the slash. However, these ice cubes were vaporized before they touched the flame strike. Not only, the frozen sea couldn't stop this blow at all. The flame slash passed quickly, chopping and vaporizing everything that stood in front of it. Seeing this scene, Aokiji was finally shaken. Can't stop. For the first time since Aokiji became admiral, he felt powerless in his heart. In a daze, the flame slash was reflected in Aokiji's pupils. He sensed the smell of death. Then, sigh. Aokiji steps away instantly. The flame-galloped past, splitting the entire frozen sea in an instant, until it disappeared at the end of the horizon. In the end, a terrible gully was left on the frozen sea. All the ice in the gully was evaporated. Now. Boom. Aokiji fell heavily on the ice in the distance, and his whole body was shattered. The ice cubes floated, assembled, and shattered again. After several times, they finally turned back into human bodies. At this moment, Aokiji had an indescribable seriousness on his face. What a terrible slash. I feel like my soul is trembling. Looking at the sea that was directly divided in two, Aokiji was silent. Comparable to the Emperor of New World, which emperor can make such an attack? This blow was beyond Aokiji's perception. Who is it? Aokiji thought and murmured. Conquerors. King. Could it be? Aokiji's face changed slightly, and he quickly moved towards Enies' lobby. When passing through the huge Gate of Justice, it was even more shocking to find that the entire Gate of Justice had been cut open. This knife not only cut through the Gate of Justice, but also cut through the entire sea. Can Hawkeye unleash this kind of slash? King of the Sleeping World. It was so terrifying. After crossing the Gate of Justice, Aokiji saw Enies' lobby that turned into a flame hell and was also cut open. Aokiji approached, releasing cold air. Ice Age. The ice stretched out. Aokiji wanted to freeze the flame. However, the continuation of the ice cube is only partly terminated in an instant. The next moment, the flames evaporated all his ice cubes. My Ice Age can't freeze this flame. His ice, however, can freeze even magma. Not only that, he got a little closer, and even felt that his soul was being burned. This is no ordinary flame. Aokiji watched all this silently. Watching the flames burn everything in Enies' lobby, but can't do anything, and finally sinks into the sea. After everything disappeared, Aokiji saw a golden sun symbol among the ruins. From this sun, he seemed to see the huge empire thousands of years ago. Moments later, he called Sengoku. Hello? Aokiji. Sengoku, Enies' lobby. Something big happened here. What's the matter? Aokiji took a deep breath and let it out slowly. The king of the sleeping world may have appeared. He cut the entire sea, together with Gate of Justice and Enies' lobby. Now, Gate of Justice and Enies' lobby are gone. Although I haven't seen him, however, I seem to have figured out something. Thousands of years ago, every inch of land illuminated by the sun was his territory. Call your name. The sun never sets. Sengoku, we might be in big trouble. After Aokiji finished speaking, the other side of the phone bug fell into a deathly silence. Moments later, there was Sengoku's terrifying growl. Aokiji. What did you say? Sabaody archipelago, in front of the red line in the middle of the Grand Line. The island is made up of many big trees, and the ground is the roots of the trees, and bubbles will emerge from the ground. The whole island consists of 79 trees, all of which are numbered, and each tree has towns and facilities. The area from number 1 to number 29 mainly includes human trafficking shops, human auctions, and illegal areas. It is a paradise for pirates. However, at this moment it has become the grave of pirates. Without him, just this morning, the Admiral of Headquarters Akainu came with 3 menacing warships and conducted a sweeping search of the entire Sabaody archipelago. His main goal is to find Ulquiorra, who attacked the Holy Land last night. But, in fact, Akainu didn't care about that much at all. But all the pirates he met on the island knelt down. It seemed to want to vent his anger at not finding Ulquiorra. So far, Akainu has captured more than 500 pirates, including 3 supernovas who stayed on the island with a bounty of over 100 million. They have ambitions to enter the New World and make a name for themselves. After the baptism of the Grand Line, they never put anyone in their eyes. Last night, knowing that the Holy Land was attacked, many supernovas were afraid of causing trouble, and entered the Fishmen Island overnight, and some people persuaded them to leave. However, they didn't pay attention at all. Now, it's too late to even regret. As for such arrogant pirates, Akainu catches them one by one. At this moment, even Akainu's adjutant was frightened and couldn't help but speak. Akainu Admiral, is this going too far? Continue to catch like this, the pirates in the Sabaody archipelago will almost be emptied. Hearing this, Akainu glanced at his adjutant and then spoke. What's wrong? Is there any problem with marine catching pirates? No problem at all. The adjutant was stared at by Akainu, and his momentum weakened a little, but he still spoke. It's just that Marshal Sengoku said before that he intends to release the supernova pirates in Sabaody archipelago. After all, New World, 4 emperors is huge, and our naval headquarters can't control it so far. Letting these supernovas enter New World to attack 4 emperors is also one of the means to check and balance 4 emperors' forces. Hearing this, Akainu snorted coldly. HMPH, use pirates to check and balance pirates. It sounds good, but in fact, more than half of the supernovas who entered New World have joined the 4 emperors faction. Although the rest of the supernovas are ambitious, they will not affect the 4 emperors' forces at all. It is precisely because so many pirates have gathered under the Holy Land that they have fueled their arrogance, even daring to attack the Holy Land. Today, every pirate on the Sabaody archipelago counts as one, catch them all. Akainu looks stern, iron-blooded and fearless, without mercy. Seeing this, the adjutant didn't say much, and at this moment, Akainu was taken aback suddenly, narrowed his eyes slightly, and looked up in one of the directions. This feeling, suddenly, he grinned. Everyone, follow me to Area 1. At this moment, the auction is going on at the auction venue in the number 1 area of the Sabaody archipelago. And after the auction venue, in the room where the goods were stored, an old man with a slave collar was leaning against the corner and drinking wine silently. With a smile on his face, he murmured, "My nobles in this auction seem to be very rich. It seems that there will be no worries about drinking money in the next period of time." At this time, a person next to him, also wearing a slave collar, gave the old man a fierce look. "Hey, old man, where did you get the wine? Give me the wine." Hearing this, the old man smiled. "Young man, don't be so impulsive. When someone buys you, there will be wine to drink. It's not natural to grab a drink with an old man. Let's talk nonsense. Lousy is the captain of the pirate with a bounty of 8.6 million Baileys. Give me the wine, or I will kill you." That man was vicious and vicious. If it wasn't for the restriction of the cage, he might have made a move. Seeing this, the old man ignored him and continued to drink his wine. But at this moment, the person next to him suddenly became short of breath. His face was pale and uncomfortable. A moment later, he fell to the ground without breathing. Seeing this, the old man froze for a moment. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying Ryujin was born from the void. The black cavity opened in front of the old man, and a pure white voice came out from it. Ulquiorra came to the door of the cell where the old man was held, looked at him condescendingly, and spoke calmly. "Human, are you, Pluton? Really?" Hearing this, the old man smiled, took a sip of wine, and said, "Are young people nowadays so bad-tempered? They kill people as soon as they come out." Ulquiorra glanced at the dead slave next to him, and spoke calmly. "I don't kill indiscriminately, it's just that this kind of ants can't bear my Ryujin. It's you, Rayleigh, who didn't expect to be an auction item." Hearing this, Rayleigh smiled. "I'm a bad old man, I'm just here to make some wine money. Since you mentioned my name, you should know that I have quit this sea. You must have trouble coming to me, and I don't want to get involved." Seeing this, Ulquiorra waved his right hand lightly. During Setsuna, the cage that held Rayleigh was shattered, and at the same time, the slave collar around his neck was also reduced to fly ash. Not only that, a large amount of treasure gold was stacked in front of Rayleigh. "The wine money is my gift to you." Seeing this, Rayleigh froze for a moment. "This person in front of me is so irritable. Wait. I've been auctioned off, strictly speaking, the current me." Seeing Rayleigh push back, Ulquiorra instantly unleashes his Ryujin. During Setsuna, a sense of oppression that made Rayleigh change color came directly to the entire auction venue. Then, under the perception of Rayleigh observation hockey, all the voices on the auction site disappeared. "Now, you are free." At this moment, Rayleigh's eyes widened and he looked at Ulquiorra, his expression completely changed. "Now, you are free." At this moment, Rayleigh's eyes widened and he looked at Ulquiorra, his expression completely changed. A moment, really only a moment. Ulquiorra didn't even move a step, and even kept his hands in his trouser pockets. However, just now, he released an extremely oppressive force, directly killing everyone in the auction venue. Moreover, this power is different from Conqueror's hockey. It will cause substantial damage, and even shake the soul. At that moment, even Rayleigh felt a blow to his soul. At this moment, Rayleigh was surprised by Ulquiorra's decisiveness and couldn't help but speak. "Didn't you say you didn't kill indiscriminately? Do you call trampling a nest of ants to death indiscriminate?" Ulquiorra spoke calmly. He has been patient enough. If Chiba hadn't told him that Rayleigh was the benefactor of Pirate Empress, and told himself not to embarrass him, I'm afraid he wouldn't have talked to Rayleigh so calmly. Now, he is experiencing heart, according to Chiba's meaning. Obviously, he didn't think it was going too well. And now, facing Ulquiorra's thunderous determination, Rayleigh was silent. He looked at Ulquiorra, those eyes filled with nothingness. From it, Rayleigh saw an arrogance that disregarded everything. He seemed to really think that those people in the auction venue were a nest of ants. After a moment of silence, Rayleigh could tell that Ulquiorra was strong and not to be trifled with. And, more importantly, it seems that he has a bad temper, and he doesn't seem to be spoiling his retirement by causing trouble. Thinking of this, Rayleigh smiled. How dare you embarrass the old man if you do this? And at this moment, Rayleigh's face changed slightly, observation haki swept across, and caught something immediately. It looks like trouble is coming. Tell you good news and bad news. The good news is that a group of Marines have come outside to surround this place. The bad news is, the lead is Marine Admiral, and it's Sakazuki. Hearing this, Ulquiorra was unmoved and still looked at Rayleigh calmly. At this moment, seeing Ulquiorra's calm expression, Rayleigh almost thought that the other party hadn't heard. That's Marine Admiral, don't you panic? Sakazuki is not easy to mess with. Today he landed aggressively on the Sabaody archipelago and captured a large number of pirates. I'll help you block him, this time, write it off. Rayleigh didn't want to accept the favor that Ulquiorra forced to send. But looking at the other party's appearance, if he doesn't answer, Rayleigh will probably fight Ulquiorra. And if you pick it up, it won't be a good thing if the other party finds you. After all, Rayleigh knew that Ulquiorra was very strong, and it would be bloody bad luck for him to do something that even the strong could not solve. No, I will deal with this kind of ants myself. Hearing this, the corner of Rayleigh's mouth twitched. Good guy. The other party is a Kainu, Marine Admiral, but Ulquiorra has become this kind of ant in Ulquiorra's mouth. Is it self-confidence, or arrogant? If the other party really has this kind of strength, what can they do for themselves? Thinking of this, Rayleigh couldn't help opening his mouth tentatively. What do you want me to do, old man? I can tell you, old man, I have retired for 10 years, and I won't do anything that involves me in this sea again. Rayleigh smiled, not wanting to cause trouble. Seeing Rayleigh speak, Ulquiorra nodded, which was not a problem for him. I came to see you for two things. First, I need permanent pointers to dress Rosa. Second, there are many auctions in Sabaody archipelago. If there is an auction for devil fruit, I want them all. Hearing this, Rayleigh glanced at Ulquiorra, thinking he had heard wrong. That's it. Ulquiorra nodded. That's right. You sure? Sure. The corner of Rayleigh's mouth twitched. If it weren't for Ulquiorra's serious face, he would definitely think that the other party was trying to make fun of him. Such a simple matter, you should have said earlier. Rayleigh laughed out loud. It wasn't a troublesome thing, but it made him a lot of fun, very free and easy. Immediately picked up the treasure and gold in the warehouse. The money would keep him at ease for a long time. Although he has already washed his hands, Ulquiorra killed the man and he stole the money, so Rayleigh naturally has no objection. I promise you. There is indeed an auction of devil fruit recently, but not in this auction venue. On the other side, there are two, but they are both from Zone. Zone, if you want it, I can get it for you. As for the permanent pointer, I also have it there. As he spoke, Rayleigh stroked his chin. Of course, the premise is that you have to come to Area 13 to find me yourself. Come alive. Since I promised you, I'll leave Sakazuki alone. Can you handle Marine Admiral? Hearing this, Ulquiorra nodded. No problem. He should have come to find me. It has nothing to do with you. Rayleigh touched his chin and smiled. Yes, since this is the case, then you have to be prepared. At most 10 seconds, the opponent is coming. Ulquiorra shook his head. No, the opponent has already shot. The voice just fell. The huge magma covered the auction venue in an instant, carrying out carpet bombing without the slightest hesitation. Seeing this, Rayleigh's face changed slightly. Akainu, you have such a bad temper. Don't you think about the safety of other people in the venue? As he spoke, Rayleigh slapped his forehead and suddenly remembered. By the way, everyone was killed by you. Boom. Accompanied by huge magma, the entire auction site was reduced to ashes. Rayleigh looked helpless. My drink money. Such a waste. Thump thump. With the magma rising into the sky, Akainu directly reduced the entire auction venue to ashes. Seeing this scene, the adjutant next to him couldn't help but speak. Akainu Admiral, that is the auction venue. If you attack like this, what will the other people in the venue do? Hearing this, Akainu snorted coldly. Where are their other people? It was killed long ago. Everyone, seal off the entire number 1 area, disperse the surrounding crowd, and surround this auction venue. Don't let me let a single fly go. Akainu gave an order. The next moment, the densely packed Marines surrounded the ruined auction site. The densely packed muzzles were aimed at it. Akainu observation haki swept past, knew someone was among them, and opened his mouth immediately. Narrow the encirclement and arrest the people in it. While speaking, black smoke billowed from Akainu's shoulders. The entire right arm was turned into hot magma. His face was as usual, and his eyes were fixed on the ruins of the venue. Apparently, Akainu was ready to make a move. However, just as Marine narrowed the range, a powerful, conqueror's haki swept across, and Marines fell to the ground one after another. In the smoke of the ruins, Rayleigh came out drinking wine. Seeing Rayleigh, Akainu frowned. "Rayleigh, why are you here? Could it be that you are in collusion with Ulquiorra, or is he the remnant of Luogia?" Hearing this, Rayleigh touched his chin. "I see, is it called Ulquiorra? I'm curious, what happened to him that Admiral himself went after him?" "This has nothing to do with you. Listen." Rayleigh smiled with joy on his face. "Since it has nothing to do with me, I'm leaving, old man. Don't stop me, I don't want to get involved in your affairs." Akainu snorted coldly, and the smoke all over his body became more and more dense. "Go? Where are you going? You are right here, and I will take you down together. After Luogia was executed, he has not found you. I didn't expect to hide here." The moment he finished speaking, Akainu's big hand suddenly slapped down, and it immediately turned into a shocking magma hand. The astonishingly high temperature made the air boil. Rayleigh narrowed his eyes slightly, held the sword in his right hand, and was about to make a move. And at this moment, a shocking Ryotsu swept over in an instant, and at this instant, the sky turned black. The violent Ryotsu poured down like a torrential rain. At this moment, the Marines surrounded by the ruins of the auction site, under the pressure of this Ryotsu, directly prostrated themselves on the ground, and couldn't even stand up. Some people with insufficient strength even directly shattered their souls and died on the spot. And Akainu and Rayleigh also shrank their pupils. Especially Rayleigh. The Ryotsu released by Ulquiorra at this moment is completely different from just now. No, it should be said that there is a world of difference. Nothingness, overbearing, absolutely overwhelming. It may be exaggerated for the other party to say that Marine Admiral is an ant, but it is definitely not groundless. He really has this kind of strength. After all, at this moment, even his soul has been greatly shocked and shaken. Then, a pure white figure instantly appeared in front of Rayleigh. Facing Akainu's big magma hand, Ulquiorra raised his right hand calmly, slapped it casually, and shattered it. Seeing this, Akainu's pupils shrank suddenly. It's such a powerful force, with just one blow, it has such power. Moreover, the opponent did not use armed color. Akainu narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the back of Ulquiorra's hand. Due to the high temperature of the magma, the back of Ulquiorra's hand continuously emitted white smoke. However, Akainu actually didn't see any scars. He actually caught my magma with his bare hands. At the moment, Rayleigh was also shocked. That was Akainu's attack, so it was shot off without any damage. What defense is his skin? While Rayleigh was horrified, he suddenly discovered that there was a hole running through Ulquiorra's chest, which surprised him. "There's a hole in your chest. Are you still human?" Surprised, Rayleigh didn't intend to stay. Taking advantage of this gap, he jumped up instantly, ready to leave. Seeing this, Akainu's face turned fierce, and his entire arm turned into crimson magma. "Rayleigh, want to go? Act like I don't exist?" The fist of magma released billowing heat. "With me here, none of you can leave today." Seeing this, Ulquiorra didn't care, didn't even raise an eyebrow, and took it with his bare hands. That hot magma, beneath Ulquiorra's steel skin, does nothing. Akainu tried with all his might to knock Ulquiorra down. However, Ulquiorra just grasped it firmly, and with a bang, the magma was crushed. Akainu's pupils shrank, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Surprised, a white finger pointed at Akainu's chest. The next moment, the berserk green energy frantically gathered. Feeling the power in the Tao, Akainu was shocked. Instantly elementalized his body, turned it into magma, and changed his form, making a gap in his chest. At this moment, the corner of Ulquiorra's mouth moved slightly. A voice seemed to come from the void. "Sero." Bang. The huge green Sero directly hit Akainu's body. Sero flew out from the gap in Akainu's chest, missed a direct hit, but also passed through some magma elements. After passing through Akainu's body, Sero's power remained undiminished, and flew to the plane of the distant sea, where it exploded. The violent energy spread out, and a tsunami with a height of tens of meters instantly set off above the sea surface, overwhelming the sky and covering the number 1 island. Seeing this scene, Rayleigh, who was about to slip away, changed his face drastically. What? Are you kidding me? It has such power." With a single blow, Akainu was blown away, and even caused this small tsunami, which is simply terrifying. Rayleigh admitted that he really underestimated Ulquiorra. Accompanied by a huge storm, Akainu was knocked into the air by Ulquiorra. Surprised by the power of this move, he quickly backed away with a look of vigilance. At the same time, magma billowed in his chest, and a hole like the Ulquiorra void cave appeared, continuously emitting white smoke. With the squirming of the magma, the hole gradually recovered, but Akainu looked uncomfortable and hurriedly clutched his chest. After fully recovering, he gasped even more, and almost didn't recover. Damn. What kind of attack is this? Obviously I have already elementalized, but it hit my entity. He shouldn't be using armament hockey. The elements of Logia can avoid all physical attacks, which is also the pervert of Logia demon fruit power. It's wishful thinking to defeat Logia without knowing how to use armament hockey. However, Ulquiorra subverts this perception. Moreover, the attack just now was definitely not a normal attack. Akainu felt like his soul was torn apart at that moment. Seeing this, Ulquiorra spoke calmly. Human, don't be so arrogant. Do you really think I can't break Logia's fluid without armament hockey? Thousands of years ago, I followed His Majesty to conquer the world, and killed countless Logias. Hearing this, Akainu put away his arrogance just now. He had to admit that he underestimated Ulquiorra. His face was shocked, and he couldn't help but speak. What devil fruit are you? You can actually restrain my lava fruit. Leaving aside armament hockey, the only thing that can hit the Logia demon fruit power entity is that the attributes are incompatible, or there is a superior subordinate relationship between fruits of the same type. Obviously, Ulquiorra's attack is not of the fire type, so it can be an attribute countermeasure. Devil fruit? Hearing this, Ulquiorra shook his head with a look of disappointment. It's not that cheap thing, this power, named Ryujin. If you don't understand, just experience it. As he spoke, Ulquiorra raised his right hand calmly, stretched out his index finger, and the green Ryujin gathered at the fingertips. However, at this moment, Akainu shot instantly. The palm of his right hand had long been turned into magma, and it was discharged to the ground in an instant. You're distracted. Setsuna room. The ground cracked, and countless magma erupted from the ground, surrounding Ulquiorra and swallowing it directly. Seeing this, Akainu's face was stern, and he didn't intend to stop, and jumped up instantly. The dog gnaws the red lotus. The arm that turned into lava turned into the shape of a dog's head, blasted towards Ulquiorra engulfed by the magma, and then bit it off with one bite. Then, there was a bang. The magma burst instantly, bathing the entire number 1 area in a sea of flames. Akainu's attack even changed the terrain, which was extremely terrifying. HMPH, after you've been cleaned up, it's Rayleigh's turn, and then there's the king of the world behind you. Akainu wins. His lava fruit has the most powerful force in this sea. With such a fierce attack, Ulquiorra will be seriously injured even if he does not die. No matter how strong the armed color is, it is impossible to defend perfectly. But, human, is your attack over? Amidst the dreadful lava came the peaceful voice of Ulquiorra. Akainu's pupils shrank suddenly, extremely surprised. What? He widened his eyes and stared at the direction of the voice. Immediately afterwards, he saw a pure white body walking out bathed in magma. Although Ulquiorra was emitting white smoke all over his body. However, in fact, the high temperature of the magma failed to break through his steel skin at all, and only partially burned his clothes. Beneath the shattered cloak was exposed Ulquiorra's chest, upon which was inscribed the symbol of a golden sun. Seeing this, Akainu froze for a moment, and subconsciously spoke. The logo of the Sun Pirates? Attention, human. Out of the lava, Ulquiorra's calm opening. This sun symbolizes His Majesty. Thousands of years ago, His Majesty ruled all the land under the sun and established, sun never sets. It is an honor bestowed upon me by His Majesty to engrave this sun. Hearing this, Akainu snorted coldly. What bullshit glory. Ulquiorra, hurry up and attack the Holy Land. There is no place for you to hide in this world. As he said that, Akainu jumped up and punched Ulquiorra in an instant. At this moment, his right hand turned into a giant lava hand, like a mountain peak. Great eruption. The huge fist of lava came across the surface, and the sense of oppression was stretched to the limit. Seeing this, Ulquiorra looked calm, and just quietly pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist. Your Majesty once told me not to underestimate this era. But the fact is that ants are always ants, no matter how hard they struggle. It's just that His Majesty's order is above all else, so. Let me be a little more serious and kill you. Human, you are proud enough. Even thousands of years ago, no one has seen my trick. As he spoke, Ulquiorra took the Zanpakuto and ran it across his fingertips. A smear of blood flowed out from the wound on the fingertip. Ulquiorra flicked lightly, leaving a trail of blood in the air. But this moment, an unbelievable sense of oppression came out intentionally. Akainu's complexion changed slightly, and he couldn't help but become more aggressive. It's useless to do anything now, go to hell. In response, Ulquiorra just raised his right hand calmly, and then grabbed his right wrist with his left. The next moment, a shocking Ryujin gathered in Ulquiorra's palm. At this moment, Akainu's complexion changed drastically. Before the opponent attacked, he felt his soul tremble. What a terrible blow. However, Great Eruption has been released and cannot be taken back, so Akainu can bite the bullet. Then, the corners of Ulquiorra's mouth moved slightly, and he spoke a word calmly. Wang Shu's. Flash. In an instant, a berserk Ryujin was released from Ulquiorra's right palm, and its power was more than 10 times that of a normal Sero just now. Akainu's terrifying lava fist Great Eruption was engulfed almost instantly. During Setsuna, the sky changed drastically, and even the space was partially distorted. Akainu's face changed drastically, and he finally showed a terrified expression. From this blow, he smelled the smell of death. It was terrible. The attack hadn't fully come, and just destroying his Great Eruption caused Akainu to suffer the pain of tearing his soul. Once hit directly, the consequences will be disastrous. His face trembled, terrified, and his whole body became elemental in an instant, and he manipulated part of the magma that he had turned the island into before. The magma surged up in an instant, appeared in front of Akainu, and solidified directly, trying to block Ulquiorra's blow. But, how could this kind of thing block Wang Shu's flash? Just a face-to-face, was completely swallowed. Akainu was terrified, unable to block the blow at all, and quickly dodged. But the range is too big. Akainu quickly raised his hands, crossed his hands, and the black armament Haki surrounded him. Next moment. Bang! The berserk Sero, in a flash, directly engulfed Akainu's body. Akainu's body was shattered on the spot. At this moment, he felt as if his soul had been torn in half, spitting out blood, and a powerful force directly suppressed him. After engulfing Akainu, the power of Wang Shu's flashes remained undiminished, engulfing all the sea areas outside the number 1 area of the Sabaody archipelago. Even after the areas number 2 and number 3 next to them were half destroyed, they suddenly disappeared. At this moment, a shocking cloud of smoke engulfed Ulquiorra's vision. Ulquiorra withdrew his right hand, sheathed Zanpakuto, and couldn't help but speak. Didn't it hit directly? I haven't used it for thousands of years, so it's really rusty. Next time, I won't miss it. No, there should be no next time. After speaking, Ulquiorra stepped out and disappeared, leaving the scene in ruins. At this time, the marine officer at the rank of commanding officer outside the number 1 island watched all this in horror. After Ulquiorra left, he was so scared that he sat down on the ground, sweating profusely. Oh my god, where did this murderer come from? It's too scary. Even Akainu Admiral was killed in an instant. Moreover, as the smoke cleared, he saw an even more terrifying scene. Area number 1 has basically been completely destroyed, and areas number 2 and number 3 next to it are also half destroyed. There is still a huge gap in the sea area hit by Sero at this moment, and the seawater surges like a waterfall. 2 of the huge Alkaman mangroves were directly broken. Terrible. This blow surpassed his cognition. Kai, Akainu Admiral. Is he alright? The general officer felt that his legs were going weak. Even confronting the 4 emperors in New World is not so scary. After the smoke dissipated slowly, after seeing that Ulquiorra had indeed disappeared. He just brought a group of people to land on the ruined island number 1. Soon, at the corner of the ruins, he saw a pool of magma. This magma seemed to be alive, wriggling constantly, trying to form a human shape, but after several attempts, all ended in failure. At this moment, Akainu felt that his consciousness was about to disappear. Physical injuries, depending on Logia's elementalization, are barely there. However, he felt as if his spirit had been destroyed, his soul was already riddled with holes, and he felt that he would die at any time. To Akainu's horror, a strange force invaded his body and consciousness. This blow without a trace of armed color, Haki almost killed him directly. Damn, what kind of power is this? Consciousness is about to. The wriggling magma constantly changes its shape. Seeing this, the general officer swallowed, although it's weird. However, he knew that this should be Akainu Admiral. Oh my god, this blow can't even keep Akainu Admiral in human form. Quick, protect Akainu Admiral. The officer spoke immediately. Immediately afterwards, some sailors moved towards the pool of magma. However, just getting close. All the marines were immediately suppressed and couldn't stand up, and some even let out a scream and died on the spot. Seeing this scene, the general officer was stunned, and approached subconsciously. During Setsuna, a terrible Ryujin instantly suppressed his soul. His face changed drastically, and he quickly backed away. What a terrifying power. Obviously the attack is over, Even the person himself has left, and there is still this kind of power left. That was Wang Shu's flash. Even if the attack is over, the remaining Ryotsu on this land are enough to crush a large number of ordinary people to death. The general officer couldn't get close at all. He was stunned for a moment, and he quickly took out a phone bug. No, you have to report quickly, not to mention this side. At this moment, in the undeveloped area of the 13th area, there is a hotel called Shaki's Ripped-Off Bar. Inside the bar, in front of the small counter, Shaki had a cigarette in his mouth, curiously watching the reward orders that swept the world early in the morning. Ulquiorra cipher, the bounty of 1.5 billion Baileys is offered. The amount of bounty offered for the first time is so high, it is really exaggerated. Marines have already arrived early this morning, and even the Admiral of Headquarters personally dispatched. It looks like he stirred up the turmoil in Holy Land last night. Another monster. That's Shaki's conclusion. Really, you haven't been back for days. Could it be discovered by Marine? Shaki took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Forget it. Don't worry about him if you worry about anyone. Akainu can't catch him either, and at this moment, she felt that her breathing became difficult, and subconsciously clutched her chest, feeling inexplicably uncomfortable and stuffy. A sense of oppression in her soul made her tremble. Then, in the void, the black cavity opened, and Ulquiorra walked out of it peacefully. Seeing this, Shaki's complexion changed slightly, and he couldn't help but take a step back. You are Ulquiorra, what are you doing here? Hearing this, Ulquiorra glanced around, finally landed on Shaki, and spoke calmly. Woman. I deliberately speeded up and killed the ants using magma. As a result, Rayleigh hasn't come back yet. Hearing this, Shaki froze for a moment, using magma. Could it be that? His face changed drastically, and he reacted instantly. What? You killed the Admiral of Headquarters Akainu. What did you say? Hearing the news from Sabaody Archipelago, Sengoku sat up from his seat in shock. You say that Akainu and Ulquiorra fought in the Sabaody Archipelago and lost in just 2 moves? Yes, it is. How is Akainu doing now? The voice of the general and officer came from the other side of the phone bug. At this moment, his voice was trembling. This. I don't know too well. Why don't you know? Sengoku suppressed his inner anger. Right now, Akainu Admiral is still unable to maintain a human form. It is in the state of a puddle of magma. It will squirm occasionally. It should be alive, but I'm afraid the injury is serious. Hearing this, Sengoku was startled. Akainu couldn't even keep his human form anymore. Even just squirm once in a while? Is this called an injury? I'm afraid I'm going to die. Thinking of this, Sengoku spoke hastily. Now bring Akainu back to the headquarters as quickly as possible. No way, Marshal Sengoku. The trick Ulquiorra used was really terrifying. It directly destroyed the islands in the 3 areas of the Sabaody archipelago. Even now, Akainu Admiral's power remains around him. But anyone who approaches will be directly suppressed by this force. So far, more than 10 people have been directly crushed to death by this force. We really can't get close. Sengoku's face was as gloomy as water. It was the first time he heard such a ridiculous thing in his life. With the remaining power, it's impossible to even get close. Just getting close will kill people? What ability is this? So scary. Immediately seal off Area 1, 2, and 3 on the Sabaody archipelago, and no one is allowed to approach. I'll send someone here right now. Report any changes in Akainu to me immediately. Yes. After finishing speaking, the phone bug hung up. 2 major events happened in succession, leaving Sengoku exhausted. Come on. Call Staff Crane immediately. After speaking, he picked up a fax in his hand, which was sent by Aokiji from Enies lobby. That is the sign of a golden sun. The empire on which the sun never sets. Is this the world commanded by the sleeping king of the world thousands of years ago? Just a subordinate, so terrifying. How much power do you have? The one who cut off Enies lobby and Gate of Justice, is that you? Sengoku murmured. His heart was in turmoil. The power of the sleeping king of the world has begun to show its strength, and it is menacing and overwhelming. This knife scared both Aokiji and Sengoku. Thinking of this, Sengoku knew that he could no longer sit still. Come here, immediately issue a bounty. The sailor outside the door heard Sengoku's roar and rushed in. Sengoku handed him the photo and said in a deep voice. Immediately issue a reward order, the king of the empire on which the sun never sets, and offer a reward of 5 billion Baileys. Naturally, Sengoku can't call it king of the world, but can only use empire on which the sun never sets instead. 5 billion Baileys. The sea soldier's face shook, and it was the first time he offered a reward of 5 billion Baileys, which was unheard of. This is basically the same treatment as the Emperor of New World. Last night, Ulquiorra offered a reward of 1.5 billion for the first time, which was unprecedented, and this time it was even more. However, seeing Sengoku's lack of movement, the sailor couldn't help but speak. War, Marshal Sengoku. Where are the photos? No photo. You just need to publish this, Golden Sun, logo. This, what are you still doing, hurry up. Being reprimanded by Sengoku, he hastily backed away, not daring to say anything. After the sea soldiers retreated, staff officer he hurried over outside the door. You don't even have a photo, you post a bounty, Sengoku, you're in a hurry. Hearing this, Sengoku shook his head. It's not that I'm in a hurry, it's because this king of the world is coming too fiercely. I need to let the world know about this force, especially the 4 emperors of New World. Facing this strange force, they are even more hostile than our marines. Oh? Using pirates to deal with them really looks like your style. He murmured, and then asked. So, what exactly happened to make you act so aggressively? Hearing this, Sengoku rubbed his forehead, calmed down and spoke. 2 things. First, news came from Aokiji just now that Enies lobby and Gate of Justice were slashed open, and it seems that the king of the sleeping world took action himself. Right now, the fire is still burning, Enies lobby. Even if countless seawater evaporated and caused a storm that hasn't been seen in a century, there is no way to extinguish the flame. Hearing this, Crane thought there was something wrong with his ears, and his eyes widened. Sengoku, are you kidding me? Do you think I'm joking? Even Aokiji's ability can't extinguish that flame. Before long, Enies lobby will become history. The other party came up and wiped out the Enies lobby, which represents law and judgment, obviously trying to give us a bad shot, but I don't know how the world government will react. Sengoku took a deep breath, heartbroken, and spoke again. Also, just now, Akainu met in Sabaody archipelago and Ulquiorra, and was defeated. Right now, although a person is alive, he seems to be unable to maintain his human form. This is why I came to you. Hearing this, the crane has fallen silent. These 2 incidents are more terrifying than the other, and the world is afraid that it will stir up the situation again. You go and bring Akainu back. There is a strange force suppressing it now. Once ordinary people get close, they will be suppressed or even die directly. I suspect that Akainu's inability to maintain his human form may be caused by this force. Use your ability to wash away all these weird things. Hearing this, Crane nodded immediately. Bro. I will let Kizaru rush to your place and cooperate with your work. I heard Rayleigh was staying with Ulquiorra earlier. Hearing Rayleigh, Crane's pupils shrank, and he couldn't help but speak. You suspect that Rayleigh is with them. Even if it's not, it has a lot to do with it. Are you going to shoot Rayleigh? Sengoku shook his head. Stop kidding. This sleeping king of the world is enough to give me a headache now. Let us marine provoke another legend? Also, the red-haired Shanks traveled all over the world and will soon arrive at the Sabaody archipelago, and now it will cost too much to attack Rayleigh. In short, go to Sabaody archipelago, you are in charge of everything, you play by ear. At the moment, Shaki is a little bit on pins and needles. Although he hasn't done much since Ulquiorra appeared, Shaki still feels stressed. This pressure does not come from the body, but from the soul. Although Ulquiorra intends to put away Ryujin, he is an Arankar at the Espada level after all, and ordinary people simply cannot bear to appear in this posture. Shaki is not some peerless powerhouse, and it is normal to feel pressured. However, as time went by, she felt that her breathing became much more stable, and her chest tightness gradually eased. Seeing this, Ulquiorra gave Shaki an extra look. This woman is already getting used to his Ryujin. At the moment, seeing Ulquiorra's look, Shaki smiled, poured a glass of whiskey, and laughed. Brother Ulquiorra, how about a drink? Isn't it boring for you to wait like this? Unnecessary. Ulquiorra shook her head, it didn't look like she had much interaction with other humans. It's so cold. Shaki smiled. The other party was looking for Rayleigh, and she thought it might be some acquaintance of Rayleigh, so she didn't care, but relaxed a lot. By the way, Brother Ulquiorra, what's the matter with your chest hole? You're very handsome. Ulquiorra ignored Shaki, not wanting to say more. At this moment, seeing Ulquiorra so cold, Shaki was a little curious. Brother, you are so young and handsome, you must be able to attract many beauties? Young? I have existed for more than 1,000 years. Hearing this, Shaki didn't care and continued to speak. However, judging by your appearance, it seems that you don't really understand girls' hearts. Hearing this, Ulquiorra suddenly froze for a moment. Heart. Suddenly remembered, it seems that His Majesty also let himself understand what heart is. Calm, ruthless, rational, there is no doubt that these are Ulquiorra's strengths. However, the nothingness he represents makes him unable to know what is heart. And Chiba has said to Ulquiorra more than once that heart will make you more perfect. But what exactly is heart? Thinking of this, Ulquiorra looked at Shaki and spoke calmly. Woman, do you know what is heart? Of course, a girl's heart is very complicated. Shaki smiled, but didn't realize that the way Ulquiorra looked at her had changed. At this time, Ulquiorra suddenly walked in front of Shaki and spoke calmly. Heart. Ah. You humans can always put this word on your lips easily, as if you know the heart of others like the palm of your hand. This is an answer His Majesty has not given me, do you really know? My eyes can reflect everything, there is nothing that I cannot capture. What cannot be reflected means that it does not exist. I have always judged so, and based on this, I have fought with His Majesty until now. As he spoke, Ulquiorra calmly raised his right hand, pointing to Shaki's chest. In an instant, an unbelievable sense of oppression hit. Shaki felt his soul tremble. There is a terrible despair spreading. What is heart? As long as I tear your chest apart, can I see everything in your heart? Ulquiorra's fingers moved up, pointing to Shaki's forehead. As long as I smash your skull, can I see everything in your mind? Heart. What is it? Now, what is reflected in my eyes is your fear. Fear, is it considered heart? At this moment, Shaki froze. Cold fear seemed to freeze her here. She had never imagined that a person's sense of oppression would be so terrifying. Do you think I'm scary? Woman, Shaki nodded. Then, let me ask you again, do you know what heart is? This time, Shaki was silent. She seemed to have misunderstood something before. The heart that Ulquiorra said seems to be different from the heart, she said. At this moment, she looked at the empty hole in Ulquiorra again, and seemed to understand something. So that's the case, don't you? Don't have a heart. In this case, I may not be able to give you the answer you want. The voice fell. During Setsuna, all oppression suddenly disappeared. Everything was back to normal again. Shaki breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, her heart was really filled with fear. Terrible guy. At this moment, Shaki realized that Ulquiorra, it seems, is not human. And at this moment, with a click, the door of the bar was suddenly opened. Rayleigh came in with a small backpack and a bounty in his hand. At this moment, seeing that Ulquiorra was also in the bar, he froze for a moment and couldn't help but speak. The battle between you and Akainu is really over. Not long after I left, Islands 1, 2 and 3 of the Sabaody archipelago were destroyed. Did you do that? Ulquiorra nodded. How is Akainu? I'm not interested in taking care of the life and death of the ants, have you brought anything? Hearing this, the face of Shaki next to him changed slightly. Ulquiorra really killed Akainu. At this moment, Rayleigh took the backpack off his back and threw it to Ulquiorra. It's all here. Hearing this, Ulquiorra opened it. Inside lay 2 strange fruits and an eternal pointer. But I just found out that you were actually offered a reward of 1.5 billion Baileys. Don't tell me that you were responsible for the disturbance in the Holy Land last night? Ulquiorra, on the other hand, just nodded calmly. Your Majesty ordered me to destroy the Phoenix family. Hearing this, Rayleigh and Shaki next to him gasped. Good guy. That's a Tianlongren family actually gone? No wonder a one-time bounty of 1.5 billion Baileys was offered and Akainu came after him. This is simply piercing the sky. Now, you and I will owe each other nothing. Don't come to me again if you have anything to do in the future. Because of you, Marine is already eyeing me. Rayleigh doesn't feel like wading into this muddy water, which is what he has to do. However, I'm curious, who told you to come to me? Your Majesty. Hearing this, Ulquiorra put away the things, and then opened the black cavity, not like staying too long. When leaving, he said calmly, Your Majesty's wife said that you were kind to her, let me come to you. That's all for now. After speaking, Ulquiorra went into a black cavity and disappeared without saying a word. Ulquiorra's words made Rayleigh a little confused. I have been kind to your Majesty's wife, but you still cause me so much trouble? This is called UN. Obviously, Ulquiorra's words were not finished. In Ulquiorra's character, if Rayleigh hadn't been kind to Hancock and Chiba had ordered Rayleigh not to be embarrassed. Today's affairs, I'm afraid it will not be so peaceful. A nihilistic Arankar who despises humanity, a retired legend who doesn't want to get in trouble. The two are likely to fight. Of course, now that Ulquiorra is gone, Rayleigh can't be bothered. Immediately sat down on the bar, took out the jug, and drank it all in one gulp. This little guy is not so strong. Since Luogia started the era of great pirates, there are really more and more monsters in this sea. Rayleigh couldn't help but sigh with emotion. At the moment, Shaki quipped from the sidelines. What little guy, he said he has existed for more than 1,000 years. Hearing this, Rayleigh smiled cheerfully. Just listen to this kind of thing. Immediately, as if thinking of something, Rayleigh couldn't help but speak. By the way, have I ever been kind to a certain woman? Hearing this, Shaki laughed. Can't you even remember yourself? It can't be a romantic debt, can it? You can pull it down. Do you really think that the old man didn't die fast enough? Look at that guy just now, but he killed a kainu. Don't talk nonsense. Hearing this, Shaki was extremely shocked. Did he really kill a kainu? Rayleigh nodded. I don't know, but there is a high probability that it is true. Didn't you see that the islands 1, 2 and 3 of the Sabaody archipelago are all destroyed? This is the first time I have seen such a powerful attack. Akainu is such an aggressive person. Let Ulquiorra leave easily. At least it shows that Akainu is in a state of being unable to pursue. This is a bit scary. Shaki nodded, thought for a moment, seemed to remember something. By the way, if you are kind, there is indeed a woman. Who? Little Hancock. Hearing this, Rayleigh waved his hand. She? Isn't she? Can she marry? Doesn't she hate men the most? But she seems to be really married, Shaki spoke up. With a poof sound, Rayleigh almost spit out a mouthful of wine. What did you say? When did it happen? Why don't I know? Shaki thought for a while, then spoke. Just a few days ago. You were not there at that time. It was my mother-in-law who called. Say little Hancock has become the wife of the king of the world. She's talking about it. I think it's a little weird, and I'm going to wait for you to come back and go to 9 Snake Island to see. Is there any accident? King of the world. For an instant, Rayleigh's eyes sharpened. This is not the first time he has heard this title. The last time was 10 years ago. Just when he and Luogia brought back a piece of black history text. In the main text of the history, there is a king of the world, recorded. The sleeping king of the world. Thinking of this, Rayleigh felt a little creepy. No way, wait. Shaki, you said that Ulquiorra has existed for more than 1,000 years. Shaki nodded. That's right, he said it himself. Hearing this, Rayleigh felt his hands tremble a little. Excited. Thousands of years. The sleeping king of the world. Could it be that the legend really revived? There was a snap. Rayleigh's flagon slipped and fell straight down. Shaki was a little surprised. Rayleigh, what's the matter? Shaki, you know what? We may be witnessing the revival of a legend. How can there be such a romantic thing in the world? It's a pity that Luogia couldn't see it. Otherwise, he must be very excited. What the hell is going on? Hearing this, Rayleigh was about to speak. At this time, a news bird suddenly stopped at the window of the bar and dropped a newspaper. Shaki walked over, and after paying, he picked up the newspaper, which contained 2 brand new reward orders. The moment he saw the content of the newspaper, Shaki's pupils shrank suddenly, and he couldn't help but speak. Rayleigh, something big has happened. Rayleigh raised an eyebrow. What's wrong? After taking the newspaper, Rayleigh glanced at it for a while, and his expression changed drastically. What? Gate of Justice, and Enies lobby, were cut open by someone, and they were in flames, and they have sunk. This is fake news, right? Rayleigh thinks, naval headquarters, must be crazy. That is, Enies lobby, representing the authority of the world government laws. Although it has no real power, it represents the facade of the world government. Can this kind of thing sink? It's funny. Rayleigh, look. This brand new reward order. Atrocious. Heinous. Live or die. Combatants of the empire on which the sun never sets. Ulquiorra. Cipher bounty, 2 billion Baileys. Ulquiorra's bounty has risen by another 500 million. Rayleigh understands that. After all, Akainu was defeated, but I was a little moved by the speed of Marine's work. Akainu had just lost, and within an hour, a new bounty came out. In addition to the bounty change, this time there is an extra empire on which the sun never sets. Is it the faction it belongs to? Rayleigh didn't care either, and the second reward order was weird. No pictures, just a golden sun logo, not even a name. However, his bounty is ridiculously high, atrocious. Heinous. Live or die. King of the empire on which the sun never sets. Bounty. 5 billion Baileys, 5 billion Baileys, that's the treatment of New World, 4 emperors. And all of this is the mystery of the king of the empire on which the sun never sets, but the reward has reached this level for the first time. Even for the emperors of New World, the bounties must be accumulated over time to reach this level. For a moment, Rayleigh was silent. The first reward was so exaggerated. There are only 2 reasons. First, attract the New World. Emperor's attention, even hostility. Second, he did something terrible enough to threaten the world government itself. Thinking of this, Rayleigh's pupils shrank. Enies lobby, is this the king of the empire on which the sun never sets sank? The king of the sleeping world, is he really awake? Sabaody Archipelago, Island 1. This place has been blocked by densely packed marines, but even so, there are quite a few spectators. Among them are some brave pirates with high skills. After all, the previous battle on Island Number 1 was too exaggerated, and many people in the surrounding area were shocked. In the end, it was even heard that Akainu lost to Ulquiorra, was beaten into shape, like a puddle of mud, and has not recovered yet. They all took advantage of the fact that Marine was too busy to watch jokes. At this moment, Staff Crane had arrived under Sengoku's instruction, looking at the ugly Akainu with an extremely solemn expression. There is no human form at all. It is indeed like a pool of mud, but it is just magma, billowing thick smoke. It is indeed as described, squirming from time to time. Crane scanned through his knowledge and found that the magma still has sound. It is known that Akainu is still alive, only badly injured. No, it should be said that the spirit or soul was seriously injured. This is really quite miserable. It's the first time I've seen Sakazuki so embarrassed. At this moment, Kizaru was also standing beside Crane with a serious expression on his face. He often describes Akainu as a monster, and he's not kidding. But Akainu really has monster-like strength. However, it was such a monster who was beaten like this. It's really scary, the guy from the empire on which the sun never sets. There is nothing mean or lighthearted about these words. This time, Kizaru is from the heart. It is indeed terrible. I heard that people will die if you get close, let me try. For the first time, Kizaru volunteered and stepped forward, just about to get close to the muddy Akainu. During Setsuna, the remaining Ryotsu of Wang Shu's flash directly suppressed Kizaru. Kizaru suddenly felt his body sank, and his soul trembled suddenly. At this moment, Kizaru's face changed slightly. So that's it, a power that can shock the soul similar to Big Mom. Moreover, the intensity is very high, no wonder ordinary sailors will die when they get close. This kind of coercion can only have a deterrent effect on the strong. I am afraid that it is not intentionally left by the opponent, but the power left by a certain move. Kizaru analyzed for a while, and that move is Wang Shu's flash. Are there any remaining moves? Hearing this, he frowned. Seeing Akainu's tragic state and the exaggerated ruins around him, Suru nodded in agreement. Indeed, I'm afraid it's a must-have move. But this kind of coercion will not make it impossible for Akainu to recover his human form. After thinking for a moment, he opened his mouth and said, "Let's try it first. If Akainu can't recover, I can't do anything." Saying that, she stepped out and entered around Akainu. During Setsuna, Ryotsu attacked, causing Suru's face to change slightly. It is indeed very similar to the soul power of Big Mom, but it is more domineering and empty. As she spoke, she came around Akainu, raised her right hand, and gently brushed over the magma. At the same time, armed color hockey is wrapped around his hands. Avoid getting yourself scalded by lava. Next moment, the ability to wash fruit is activated. Wash away all the weird and unknown. At this time, Suru clearly felt a force being expelled from Akainu's body by her. That's Ryotsu. Her face changed slightly. Sure enough, there is power remaining, such a domineering power. Crane's wrist trembled a little. After washing away Ryotsu's power, he threw it far away. There were all pirates watching the show. Because of Akainu, Marine didn't want to waste time on them, so he ignored them. If you want to watch a play, just watch enough. The voice fell. Wang Shu's flash, part of the power instantly flew into the distance. During Setsuna, a shocking wave of Ryotsu descended from the sky and bombarded him. The sky was dyed in pitch black, and the souls of those pirates shrouded in Ryotsu were instantly shattered, spitting blood, and dying in pain. Seeing this, Kizaru's face changed slightly. What a terrifying power. It's just the remnants of the moves, but it can still kill so many pirates. What kind of attack did Akainu suffer after the Crane ability is activated? Ryotsu around Akainu suddenly disappeared. Crane stood up and murmured, "Almost, if this doesn't work, there's nothing I can do." After all, things involving the soul are very mysterious. Kizaru nodded. This is true. If you look at Big Mom Wangguo, you will know that the soul has become fine. At this time, with the disappearance of Ryotsu, the pool of magma wriggled at a speed visible to the naked eye. The speed is getting faster and faster, very fast, slightly raised, trying to take shape, but soon fell. The magma squirmed again and fell here. After several efforts, it finally formed a human shape. Akainu then regained his human form and appeared in front of Kizaru and Suru. At this moment, Akainu's face was pale, extremely weak, and he just sat down on the ground, spitting out blood. Sakazuki, are you alright? Kizaru quickly helped Akainu up. Where's Ulquiorra? Him. It's long gone. Crane said. Akainu was extremely excited and continued to speak. Where's Rayleigh? He's here too, and in cahoots with Ulquiorra. Find Rayleigh, and you'll find Ulquiorra. At this moment, even though Akainu is seriously injured, he is still thinking about chasing him. Kizaru shook his head. Sakazuki, I think you should worry about your injury, you can't even stand still. Akainu waved his hand. My body was not injured, but my soul was injured. That blow almost killed me. Ulquiorra is very dangerous. I can't continue to let him go like this. The truth is this truth. However, Crane shrugged and said. Now, I'm afraid it would be inappropriate to trouble Rayleigh. Akainu frowned. What's wrong? He just wanted to speak. At the port, the voice of the sailors was suddenly heard. A ship is approaching the Sabaody archipelago. That flag is the red hair. It is 4 emperors, red hair shanks. Crane glanced at Akainu. Look, that's the reason. Gate of Justice and Enies lobby are history forever. The whole world was shocked by this newspaper. This is tantamount to pushing Chiba, the king of the empire on which the sun never sets, to the forefront. In addition, there is a reward order for imperial treatment without a photo. The whole world is guessing who this arrogant king of the empire on which the sun never sets really is. This also casts a veil of mystery on Chiba. Sengoku acted too hastily and offered a reward to Chiba without even getting the photo, although he also had his own considerations. But, obviously, this also made Chiba a wedding dress. Looking at his own system panel, Chiba smiled. The popularity has risen a little again. This bounty has helped me a lot. The legend of the resurrection, the popularity is indeed rising very fast. Let me see where my next subordinate sleeps. Chiba checked it a little bit, and was a little surprised. The location of the next subordinate. This is, in the calm belt near Impel Down? It's not far. At the same time, Chiba also found that the system has been upgraded along with the increase in popularity. Originally waking up his sleeping subordinates, he could only do so if he or other subordinates were present. But at this moment, this restriction is lifted. As long as the special energy is enough, no matter where you are, you can directly wake it up. Of course, those who can be awakened are limited to the subordinates after the system upgrade. In other words, Dressrosa still needs Ulquiorra to awaken the sleeping person. Seeing this, Chiba smiled. With this ability, it is much more convenient. If that's the case, let's revive you first. Chiba's heart skipped a beat. During Setsuna, Chiba's special energy decreased by 8, leaving 23 at the moment. The special energy is getting less and less. Looking for devil fruit must be on the agenda. Although the number of devil fruit in this era far exceeds that of thousands of years ago. But, in fact, most of them were eaten and became ability users. After checking the subordinates he resurrected this time and confirming their identities, Chiba smiled. So that's it, it's you. Since this is the case, I will entrust you with the task of finding special energy. Go. The only order given to you, find devil fruit. Not to mention this side. Impel Down is the sea of the calm belt, the lair of the sea kings, approached by ordinary ships. It is no different from a sea king's rations. Thanks to Vegapunk's research on seastone, placing seastone on the bottom of the ship can confuse the sea king's sight, and Marine successfully conquered calm belt. At this moment, a huge warship slowly approached from the horizon, escorting the pirates to Impel Down. On the deck, there is a marine general, and his subordinates are standing on the watchtower to observe the situation of the sea. Although calm belt has been breached, however, there are countless sea kings under this sea. Unless you are on the rear admiral chair, no one dares to take it lightly. Suddenly, in the distant sea area, a huge sea kings appeared. Before the sailor could react, he saw a black shadow instantly cover the huge sea kings. Seeing this, the watchman's face trembled, and he was shocked. Hi, the sea kings were eaten. What is this? He narrowed his eyes slightly, trying to see clearly, but found that the black shadow suddenly disappeared. Did you read it wrong? Just about to breathe a sigh of relief, the next moment, the huge black was already close at hand. At this moment, the entire warship was shrouded in this blackness. The sailor's face changed, and he was drenched in cold sweat. Oops, it's Sea Kings. He sounded the alarm instantly. Sea Kings. There are Sea Kings approaching. Hearing this, the sailors on the deck and the general and officer immediately became tense. Don't panic. Our warship has Seastone installed, the Sea Kings will not attack. Don't act rashly. the general college officer pretended to be calm. Meeting sea kings on the sea, unless you have the power to kill him solo, otherwise, this is the worst situation. Obviously, this general officer does not have such strength. And at this moment, there was a bang. The huge monster under the sea seemed to have collided with the warship, and the warship was almost knocked over. Oops, I hit it, it won't knock off the sea stone at the bottom of the boat. Such a strong collision scared the Marines and rushed forward to check. After coming to the bow, I saw this huge black shadow at close range. After the leading general and officer saw it clearly, his face suddenly changed, and he was extremely shocked. This is not Sea Kings. What's that black thing? A Marine said incredulously, looking into the distance. In the sea, there are black humanoid creatures swimming. They are not big in size, but there are too many of them. They gather together like Sea Kings. Suddenly, a sailor showed a frightened expression, his voice trembled, and he was extremely frightened. Those things are watching us, they locked us up. What? The general officer's face changed, and he looked in the direction the sailor was looking at, and his pupils shrank immediately. During Setsuna, those black humanoid creatures raised their heads densely and looked straight at them. It was a face, a strange and fair face. The painting style of that face is extremely simple and scribbled, without any emotion. At this moment, in conjunction with such a situation, people are terrified to the extreme. What the hell is this? The sea soldiers were taken aback and retreated one after another. And when they wanted to see clearly, they suddenly found that the black shadow above the sea suddenly disappeared. What? Missing. Where did the group of ghosts go just now? And at this moment, a voice came from above the warship. Hey, you guys. Have you ever seen a strange fruit? Well, it's the kind of fruit that can get strange abilities if you eat it. Hearing this, everyone suddenly turned around. At this moment, on the deck, stood a humanoid creature. It looks very short, like a child. However, his painting style is extremely simple and scribbled, as if he can be drawn with just a few strokes. It is very strange. In an instant, densely packed muzzles were aimed at him. What the hell are you? At this moment, these sailors were taken aback. The other party was neither human nor ghost, but suddenly appeared, and he looked very strange. What the hell? Hearing this, the black thing froze for a moment, a little upset. I'm not happy when you talk like that. I was awakened by His Majesty just now. I finally came out. I am in a good mood, don't disturb my elegant mood. You have not answered my question yet. Have you seen that strange fruit? Hearing this, these sailors looked at each other in blank dismay. A little memory, then remembered. You mean devil fruit, right? That's right, it's that thing. Hand over that fruit, and I will make your death less painful. Really, it's very happy to die immediately. Well, I'm very understanding, right? Hearing this, the faces of these sailors changed. They picked up their weapons instantly, and aimed their guns at him. What the hell are you? How dare you attack a warship? You can't find death. Although the other party looks very strange, however, since it is not Sea Kings, there is nothing to be afraid of. The general college officer gradually became bolder. There are many people on my side, and the firepower is suppressed, so I am not afraid at all. But at this moment, a sailor with sharp eyes saw horns growing on the opponent's head, and engraved on the horns was the symbol of a golden sun. Seeing this, the Marine's expression changed, and he spoke quickly. Sir, golden sun, this guy belongs to the empire on which the sun never sets. What? The officer's face changed, and he looked at the head of the black thing. There was indeed a sun sign, and he gave the order without saying a word. Attack. Attack. It belongs to the empire on which the sun never sets. There are orders from above. Anyone who sees the sun sign will be arrested immediately. Thump thump. During Setsuna, dense bullets fired into this strange black life form. And the opponent didn't dodge or dodge, let the bullets hit him. The powerful bullet pierced his body instantly. Seeing this, the officer was overjoyed. It works, keep attacking and kill him. At first he was worried. After all, the characters that emerged in today's unset empire were so powerful that they even defeated Admiral. Looking at it now, it doesn't mean that everyone is a monster like Ulquiorra. The so-called empire on which the sun never sets also has ordinary characters. However, soon, his expression changed. After the body of that weird black thing was shattered, it didn't die, but other bodies grew out of those shattered bodies. At this moment, the accompanying attack fell. There are dense faces growing on his hands, his arms have become extremely huge, and he even has countless feet, which looks extremely strange, and his sanity plummets, which makes people feel psychologically uncomfortable. Do you really think this kind of bullet can penetrate my body? If this kind of attack is useful, Your Majesty will not bestow this sun symbol on me. The other party smiled, and suddenly his face became serious. You look down on me, don't you? You guys. Setsuna room. This weird black thing squirmed, all abnormalities disappeared, and he returned to the original size of the child. However, the next moment, he stretched out his right hand, and the right hand swelled instantly, covering his whole body in the arm, turning him into a colossus. It was a shocking fist. Then, the fist directly smashed down. During Setsuna, the entire warship was directly smashed into pieces with incredible power. On the sea, there were even waves. Many sailors were affected by the shock, and their bodies were directly crushed. Seeing this, the faces of these sailors changed drastically, and they fled in panic. What the hell is this thing? Saw the sailors fleeing. The black thing immediately withdrew its huge arm, but instead chased it carelessly, staggering as if it was playing. Hey! You guys, stop, I won't do anything to you. I just want to kill you. Don't be afraid, soon. It's over in a flash. Between words. The black thing chased after it, and suddenly burst out a large number of clones from its body, like locusts, densely packed, covering the sky and covering the sun, directly engulfing the entire ruins of the warship. After a while, everything calmed down. What, after a long time, there is no devil fruit on this warship. It made me work in vain. However, this sea area is a good place. So many sea kings can provide me with a lot of protein for cell storage. Black sperm race. Weirdo ability. 1. Value added split. 2. Not open black sperm. This is the second minion Chiba has awakened after Ulquiorra. Known for having nearly infinite cellular clones. At this moment, the black sperm instantly split itself. On the sea, densely packed black clones appeared, almost covering the entire sponge, and at a glance, there was no end in sight. Little ones. Your Majesty has an order to collect devil fruit, first of all, this sea, to search all of this sea, don't waste any place. Also, there are countless sea kings under this sea area. This is high quality protein. The following sea kings, one head counts as one head, I will eat all of them to replenish the cell reserve. Oh, above the sea, there was a sound of boiling in an instant. The next moment, the dense black sperm scattered in an instant, heading in all directions. I just woke up, my cell reserve is only 1 trillion, and I'm still far from my peak. Eat the sea kings in this area, it can almost reach 2 or 3 trillion cells. So. The body of the black sperm lay on the surface of the sea, tapping Erlang's legs, very leisurely. In short, the cells need to be stockpiled. Devil fruit must also be found, neither side will delay. During the speech, the black sperm raised his head and looked into the distance. In the center of the calm belt stands a massive building. Seeing this, the black sperm touched his chin. This thing seems to be a big prison under the sea. It holds pirates from all over the sea. Since they are pirates, they must be hiding a lot of treasure, right? There won't be devil fruit, right? Saying that, the black sperm smiled. Go and see, don't miss any chance. Your Majesty's order must be fulfilled. Anyway, I have a lot of cell reserves, so I'm not afraid of wasting them.